Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the planet of debates, Debate Talking Radio.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, brothers and sisters. This is Brother Stanley of Sin No More Ministries, here to encourage you all to support Sal's Showtime on Debate Talk for You. Those that have been showing support, you have been such a blessing to this powerful ministry, in so much that this show is still on the air because of your heartfelt love gift. For those who are unable to give, we are still praying that you reach down into your pocket for $1. Yes, that's exactly what I said. I said $1. That same paper that you use for that vending machine. Amen? That dollar will make so much of a difference in this ministry. If you go to PayPal and set up your account, you can do it in so much that they can only reach out $1 every month from your check. You won't even feel it. And the show will stay alive on the air because of you. You'll have such powerful debates every week for years to come. So go to www.paypal.com, then use the email debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. That is debatetalk4u@gmail.com to donate. God bless you all.
You don't want to miss the best debate show via internet? Debate Talking Radio. Check out the schedule for Monday to Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time or at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. To check out the archives, go to www.blogtalkradio.com/debate talk 4 and the letter U. You can listen via phone or via Skype by dialing that number 646-716-7320. Again, that's 646-716-7320. You can also go to iTunes to the podcast section. Just type in the search box Debate Talk 4 and letter U, and you'll see the show pop up absolutely free. You can check out season 1 all the way up to the present season and enjoy the entire show. So keep it locked on Debate Talking Radio. Check us out.
Yeah, Shalom. I want to give a shout out to Sal at Debate Talk for You. What's going on? Hey, Debate Talk for You is where it's at. You know, get your verses straight, put your cell phone record, come on board, present what you got. If anyone try to cut you off, Sal will just mute that guy's mic. You know, he'll let you express what you got. He'll let you present what you studied for. Let the audience decide if what you got, you know, is inside the scriptures. Debate Talk for You, once again, shout out to Sal. Terrific job. Hey, you can press it number 1 or find yourself on a lion's den.
Peace and assalamu alaikum. This is Raheem Ali, your expert investigative reporter. Checking out the Lion's Den, Debate Talk for You, with your great host, Sal Showtime.
Shalom Debate Talk for You family. This spring, when you're planning your family gatherings, be sure to purchase Tupperware, kitchen storageware, and appliances for those special occasions of building memories with your loved ones, keeping your favorite foods fresh for the spring. And don't miss out on the chance to win a 32-gigabyte Kindle Fire HD with any eligible purchase made up until April 21st. Be sure to take advantage of this offer and great deals at www.shopfortupperware.com. That's SHOPFORTUPPERWARE. Make healthy meals and beautiful memories. Shalom.
Hi, this is Tyrone Thompson, host of the Blog Talk Radio broadcast Talk Real Solutions. Please tune in and listen to all of our shows 7 nights a week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At Talk Real Solutions, we cover a variety of topics to ensure we speak about what may be needed in our community at any time. Talk Real Solutions is the hottest blog talk radio show going on right now. You can listen to our broadcast at www.blogtalkradio.com/talkrealsolutions or visit our website at www.talkrealsolutions.com. Also like our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/talkrealsolutions. You can call in at any time during the show and add to the conversation and offer your solutions at 1-858-357-8453. That's 1-858-357-8453. Because at Talk Real Solutions, we want to make sure you have a chance to talk real solutions.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio.
Out here in Birmingham, UK, we stay tuned to that Debate Talk for You radio show. Just want to shout out my man Sal and all the other hosts. Make sure you keep it locked right here from the Express Truth. Peace.
Hey, what's going on? This is Felix, also known as Enoch, student at Absolute Bible Truth, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Sal Showtime and Debate Talk for You. I'm a frequent listener, been listening since season 1. Keep doing your thing, and for everybody out there who can hear this, send in your donations so Debate Talk for You could go on for a long time. All right, y'all. Peace.
This is Renald Francoeur representing from Atlanta, Georgia. And when I'm not busy in the studio, I'm checking out Debate Talk for You Radio. Keep up the great work, Sal Showtime.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to another show. You're now listening to Season 6 of Debate Talk for You Radio. Of course, I'm your host, Sal Showtime, and we are back with another classic show for you guys. Well, once again, it is Monday. You know what that means. It is the Relationship Challenge Day, each and every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Right now we have Volume 12 of the Relationship Challenge. If you haven't if this is your first time actually listening to the Relationship Challenge, go to the archives, go check it out, and hear some of the classic shows we've had so far. Just go to www.blogtalkradio.com/Debate Talk for You, or go to the YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/Debate Talk for You, and check out the Relationship Challenge. But today we're going to begin Volume 12, and today's show is entitled 5 Major Reasons Why Our Brothers and Sisters Separate. Again, today's show is entitled
5 major reasons why brothers and sisters separate. For those that are new to the show, this is the show where you, the listener audience, can chime in. You can call in with your questions, your comments. You can call in via phone and via Skype, but down on that number, 646-716-7320. Make sure you press number 1 if you want to speak, and we'll add you in the conversation. Let your voice be heard. Don't be shy. We love to hear from the people out there that tune into Debate Talk for You Radio. Before we begin, of course, we have to introduce the first lady of Debate Talk for You Radio. Matter of fact, if you're out there, you got to press number 1. If you're out there, we have a lot of callers on the switchboard. First lady, you got to press number 1 so I can introduce you to the world out there. All right. Just waiting for her to press number 1, and we can bring her in. Hold on, let me see if she's here. Yeah, you got to press number 1, Emunah, and we can bring you in. Well, I guess in the meanwhile, let me bring in the rest of the special guests real quick. Actually, this is the home panel, home team, which means they're here each and every week. We're going to start off with Mayana. Shout out to BK. Welcome to the show.
Shalom, shalom. How is everybody? All praises to the Most High, Creator of us all. Shalom to everybody. Thank you for having me again. How's everybody doing?
Doing pretty good. So what you been up to lately, Mayana? Anything you been up to?
Oh, well, yeah, the grind is real. The grind is real. I've been working on the website. I've been working on creating some classes for the people, working on a curriculum, working on a workbook, working on a few projects. The videos should be up by the end of summer. So those are the things that I have been preoccupied with lately. So I haven't been in the trenches as much as I have been historically, but I hang out in the trenches too. As you can see, my social media work here and there.
Yeah, well, of course, we appreciate you being on the panel. And matter of fact, for those of you that need some classic flyers out there, need to hit up Mayana Johnson right quick because she's holding it down with the flyers. She does an excellent job. So if you need that information, of course, hit up on Facebook and reach out to her. But let's go to the next. Yeah, appreciate you. Let's go to the next person on the panel. Let's go to my brother, Award Swordsman. Welcome to the show.
Hey, shalom, brother. How you doing? My sister, how you doing? All praise to the Most High and your house, y'all. Everything's good and lovely on this side.
Anything happening? Anything new?
Yeah. I'm still working on that show. I just been busy. Matter of fact, I may have to peel out 9 o'clock. I got to do another show. So I'm going to try to come back, but I don't know how long it's going to take. But just today, I just got to peel out. All right.
It's all good. Hey, the more busier, the better. It's all good. I got you. We appreciate you being here, though. Let me see the phone line. Okay. Emunah, are you there? How you doing?
I'm here. It's just one of them days. Praise be to the Most High, the Holy One. I pray everybody as well. I'm over here pressing mute, and it's just one of them days. It's just one of them days. It's all good. How are you, Brother Sal?
Doing pretty good. Anything new that you want to let the people know about?
Yeah, boy. Well, another day of life. We giving thanks and praise. When the day goes crazy, that's what you got to do. You got to sometimes press reset. But the book is finally released, My Brother, My Keeper, which is a great book for your children, Hebrew Israelite culture, awareness, stories, lessons, all that beautiful stuff. So hop on over to mybookbag.org. And you can get your free copy. Free first chapter. I call it the free sneak peek. So go ahead and get a sneak peek and then jump on over to Amazon or Create Space and purchase the book for your loved ones. Also, if you would like to make some monies from the distribution of the book, hit me up and I'll definitely shoot you over the distribution list so that you can make a little extra something in your pocket this summer.
All right, so what I'm going to do on the YouTube page, of course, I'm going to leave that in the description box, in the YouTube page, and also in the Blog Talk page later on, for those who want to purchase and support Emunah with the new book written by her and her daughter. So, make sure you go show your support. My Brother, My Keeper.
It's about the babies. We love the kids.
Yeah, I love the kids. There we go. All right. And actually waiting for my brother Jarrell to call in. If you're out there, brother, you got to press number 1. We have a whole lot of people listening in, so I can't find you on the switchboard. You got to press number 1. And my next special guest, though, she's been on the platform before, and she's back. This is Sister Dallas. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks so much. It's an honor to be on again with all of you. I really enjoyed being on the call last week. And as far as new things for me, of course, you can get to my book, Goodbye or Go Through, How to Live Happily Ever After When Life Is No Fairy Tale, at my website, www.thereboundcoach.com. That's thereboundcoach.com. Also, I have free coaching calls every first and third Tuesday, and I just finished a webinar series, so I'm resuming the free calls starting tomorrow night. And you can get details on that at my Facebook page, facebook.com/redeemingthetime.
All right, you got a lot of things going on, Ms. Dallas. All right. So when you get a chance, inbox me that information too, so I can put it up on the description box for the people to check you out. And I appreciate you being here live tonight, right here on Debate Talk Radio.
Thank you so much.
All right, so what we're going to do, like I said, we're still awaiting Brother Jarrell. Well, as soon as he calls in, we're going to bring him into conversation. We're going to get this thing started again. It's titled 5 Major Reasons Why Our Brothers and Sisters Separate. Of course, we're going to start off with Emunah, breaking it down with the opening statements, and, of course, then we're going to go around the panel. And, we're going to also get some of your questions and your comments later on, people that's listening on social media, on Blog Talk Radio. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. The only rule that I have is once somebody's talking on the panel, please just mute your phone so we won't have any background feedback. And, of course, please speak one person at a time so we can hear the dialogue. All right, Emunah, take it away.
Like I said before, I have to take a whoosha moment and just breathe. All praises be to the Most High, the Holy One of Creation. I want to thank everybody for joining us once again for another, I can't believe it's the 12th edition already. Sal said it was the 12th. That's what's up. The Relationship Challenge. And this is the space where we speak about all of those taboo topics, the things that have been eroding the fabric of our relationships as a nation. And we know that nationhood, family, community is built on relationships. And for this reason, for those who may be new to this show, this is why we talk about these things very candidly, very openly and honestly, so that hopefully we could expose some of the things that we're doing incorrectly and improve upon those things, as well as continue to build upon the things that we are doing correctly. So once again, I want to thank everybody who joins us. I want to thank the home panel, Sister Mayana, as well as Brother War, who always show up every week doing their thing. So thank you so much. And so basically this topic, I think Brother War came up with the topic, not sure, or Brother Sal, but the topic is 5 major issues. Now, look, I'm misquoting the topic. The topic is 5 top issues that reasons relationships fail. Sorry, because the topic just been changing a minute, but 5 reasons relationships fail, and that's what we're going to kind of start off with. We see that Sister Mayana threw up a poll. Usually later on in the show we speak about the poll. I think this is going to be a kind of review lesson where it is we've spoken about a lot of things in the last 11 weeks, and so some of those things that we've spoken about may show up on the list of the top 5 reasons. Why is this important? Because, that whole break up to make up. Everybody is together, then they're apart, then they're together, then they're apart. And if we don't see longevity with our relationship, then we're not showing a good model for our children to come. Gone are the days where you could go visit grandma and grandpa and they're still holding it down after 60 years. We have to repair that thought process. We have to repair those broken relationships, or at least prepare the youth not to re-enter into these spaces. So please, get ready. We're about to have this conversation. Top 5 reasons relationships fail. I'm going to go ahead and, since Brother Awar is going to leave us so early, Brother Awar, we're going to miss you. I'm going to let you have the floor first, Brother Awar. Go ahead, open up, and let us know off your head, what is the first, for you, top reason that relationships fail? Go ahead.
Okay, all right. My first stop, I want to start off with non-communication, right? The reason why I started with that, because a lot of people are in relationships and don't know the person. They make a lot of songs. They made a song. Sister made a song that is a stranger in my house. What she meant is this guy she been with all this time, being with him, she never knew him. Why? Because the communication. You don't ask, okay, what you like, what you don't like. Then you don't follow it in your mind. So you end up doing things that you forgot you didn't like, and that causes confusion. So that's a big problem, non-communication. Then it's vow breaking. When you make a vow, when you say that you do things, and then when you get in a relationship, you find out you're not like that. You're not doing what you said you were going to do. That causes a lot of people to go astray as well. And then, of course, finances. Okay? Nobody likes nobody that's broke. You can't do nothing without finances. That's necessary. Some men monopolize off of women and let the women go out and work, stay home, pick their toes while they're watching Jerry Springer, or vice versa. Someone that feel they don't have to do anything. See, when I'm reasoning with these topics, I don't just pick out, because I'm a man, I'm going to say what women do. I put the balance. We both of us, male and female, fall short. Okay? Then it says, and my other one is playing one's position. Meaning that some men don't know how to be men, and some women don't know how to be women. Okay? A man, you want to be a man when it's down to, probably the bedroom or whatever, but when you come down to handling your part of responsibility, you act like a boy. Okay. Next one is, we'll go with, selfishness. Selfishness on both parts. There's a lot of men that's real selfish. They're not considerate of the woman's feelings, the emotions, thinking ahead on his wife or his woman. Same thing with women. Women can be very selfish, okay? Do not pay attention to the man's wants, needs, desires, or whatever, or what's on his mind. Or don't pay attention on how he's feeling that day. Do he feel weak? Do he feel strong? You don't care. And the last is, I'll go with tradition. When you have traditions that you learn from your family that you brought in your house, that causes conflict. Or you go and deal with your family when it's time, like your immediate family, like your mother and father and all them, put more time over there than in your own house. That causes a lot of breakups as well. But I'm just going to put that on the board, and those are things that cause major problems that I've seen. But, of course, there's thousands of them. But I'm going to leave it with that and pass the mic.
Man, Awar, you just went in. You ain't holding no punches. Awar just went in straight. I'm not mad at you. That was the voice of Brother Awar. So we're gonna go around the table as we continue to discuss this conversation, and then when we go around again, we'll go deeper into the overview. So I suppose Awar gave us his table of contents, which is all good. I'm gonna jump over to Sister Mayana. At this point, the mic is yours.
Yeah, kind of shalom. Thank you. Brother hit on a lot of major points, a lot of which, you'll find on the poll, and you'll find that the points that he brought out are echoed by the people out there in the trenches. One of the things that wasn't mentioned that I think that we could list on that is other people in the relationship. And basically, as Emunah stated, in summation, this particular segment is going to be a recapitulation of all of the other topics that we have mentioned thus far. This being the relationship challenge, we have tried to interrogate many of the factors that are a challenge in our relationships. And one of the more recent ones we discussed, having elders be participants in the formation and the formative parts of the relationship, and going through for the duration as a form of accountability. But then there are those people who become inserted into the marriage or the union or the relationship as it's blossoming, because one or the other person in the relationship is seeking validation, affirmation, confirmation, affection, attention in places outside of their union from people other than their spouses or the person that they need to find reconciliation with. And I think that's one of the things that we can add to this ever-growing list. Because as we continue to talk, we're definitely going to grow this list well past the top five. And I think that's a key detriment in the relationship when a woman, for example, has a work husband. That person, they create a relationship, and there's a confidant that should be the privilege of the marriage. If there's a problem with your husband, discussing it with your husband and looking for him to understand where you are coming from, that is going to be the step that heals. Having this guy at work sympathize with you, see the value in you, make you feel great about yourself is not going to be helpful for the union. A man that is on his phone being the best husband ever to someone other than his, we have a lot of sisters who are talking to these men who are married, and they are great brothers to them. I tell you all of my personal concerns. He is very affectionate, very sympathetic, very patient with her, but doesn't have any of those qualities translate into his own home. And they share this Bible. He's complaining about his wife. Oh, I wish my wife was more like you. She doesn't listen to me like you listen to me. And those things tend to pull apart the core relationship. And because you now have all of these extraneous relationships that are outside of your marriage, the extramarital relationships, even if they aren't sexual. And then, of course, there's the sexual infidelity. So these are the types of things that I would add to the list, that type of dealing with people looking outside of the relationship to kind of supplement for what may be missing inside of the relationship. I'll add that one point and yield the mic.
Wow, that one is like, we'll touch back on that one when we come back around, because definitely that is one of the, that's real, especially in this space and time where everybody is a teacher, everybody is a leader, everybody has a following, and like you said, that it's extended to everyone else except for your own household. You're very charitable outside, but nothing is going on inside. Woo! That was good. That was real good. Sister Dallas,
just to let you know, sorry to interrupt you, just to let you know, Brother Jarrell is in the house. He's here tonight.
Brother Jarrell is in the house. Welcome, Brother Jarrell. We're still on the first round. We're talking about the top 5 reasons relationships fail. I was just about to hop over to Sister Dallas. Of course, as you know, this is the opening round, so you don't have to get it all in at one time. We're going to come back around.
Thank you for taking my call. Definitely.
No problem. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to Sister Dallas, and then we're going to come over to you. Sister Dallas,
all right.
All right. So what I try to do is get to the underlying causes. And there's, like Brother said, there's a myriad of reasons why relationships fail, lots of symptoms that I tried to get to kind of core motivations, and even they overlap. So what I came up with was, number one, unmet expectations of all forms. So that really can manifest itself in any way. But the critical error is not in having an expectation, but when it's not met, holding on to that as opposed to holding on to the person. Number two would be hope deferred, which we know Scripture says makes the heart sick. And without a remedy for that, it just breaks down. Number three is unforgiveness. We know offenses must come. They do come. It's when we choose to hold on to those offenses as opposed to letting them go, we're making it impossible for the relationship to succeed. Number four, self-preservation or selfishness, as the brother said. We feel like our society tells us if we're going to prove that we have self-esteem, we have to make our relationships work for us and serve us. And the moment that it doesn't, then we can get rid of those relationships. So that attitude of self-preservation, which is a natural attitude, we actually have to go against nature to live in the way the Most High would have us to live in that regard. And number five, what Sister Mayana said, outside influences, not only seeking your needs in other people outside of the relationship, but getting advice from the wrong sources. Your friend girl that says, girl, I wouldn't put up with that. And you just let that seed fester and grow and turn into bitterness and some nasty attitude, and suddenly you break up your marriage over something that certainly didn't have to destroy your union and break up your family. So those are my five. And with that, I'll yield the mic.
All right. Thank you for that, Sister Dallas. I guess everybody's doing their overview, and we could definitely go in. And for those who are listening, we're going to open the phone lines and hear your thoughts as well and expound upon this topic. So at this time, Brother Jarrell, it's an opener. So go ahead and give us your opening thoughts on the top 5 reasons relationships fail. The mic is yours.
Oh, I'm in total agreement with Sister Dallas. She pretty much covered all the bases. But one thing that I would also like to keep in mind is that not only is relationships an intellectual endeavor, but there are biological components. You know, we're animals, and God put us together a certain way, and He commanded us to do certain things in Him having the wisdom and understanding of how we were put together. And I'll kind of go into it later on as a result as the conversation develops. I have a pretty good idea where we're all going to end up at, but I know that God has told us to refrain from sexual activity until marriage. He didn't really say that it was only the women who were supposed to stay chaste. It was the general order, and we know it's a general order because He didn't really make a distinction between the man and the woman. He just said, hey, you know, save yourself for marriage. So He understood that in the sexual act that there would be some type of bonding that would take place. And I'm going to actually cite a book later on. I got to pull it up in my computer, where this woman actually gives a breakdown of some of the chemical interactions that take place with a woman and a man. And ultimately it gets to a point where if the woman has been, or even the man has been promiscuous, when he gets into a relationship, he's going to undergo a series of withdrawal, almost like a drug addict. And a lot of those reactions ultimately lead to disenchantment. You think that you've lost that love and feeling for your wife. But no, it's on account of all of these interactions that you've had going prior to marriage that sets you up to go through this physical withdrawal that you're thinking it has something to do with your wife, but it had everything to do with what came before. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but I would just say Sister Mayana kind of knows that I'm a case study in process. So I'll definitely be able to give you guys some firsthand information because, you know, my marriage is not the best marriage, but I would say God has intervened at just the right time to where I can hopefully be a blessing to others. And through my experiences, I believe the body will benefit. So with that, I yield the mic.
Hallelujah. Well, hallelujah. Thank you for that. That was the voice of Brother Jarrell. And I think you brought up a very interesting point, and I've been reading into it and studying into also what you alluded to, the biochemistry of ourselves and the hormones and the pheromones and all the things that are released when we come together. And just like I would say when it is a young bird and somebody you find a nest and they say don't touch it, don't touch the young. Why? Because now the mother will smell that. And in infidelity, which we spoke about, I believe, last week, is that, like you said, there is something that happens there. It's not only a betrayal. Sometimes there's a level of disconnect because of the interaction that the individual had with someone else. And it affects us on all levels. And we're taught to, oh, no, don't pay that no attention. Oh, no, I just overlooked that. Oh, no, that's not really that serious. Oh, you and your ego, you and your feelings. But we see it in the animal kingdom. When people are connected with one another, and when that connection is broken, it's very difficult to repair. And sometimes people never bounce back from the thought of that betrayal. So I think that's very interesting because, yeah, that's some deep studies right there. But anywho, we're going to go right on back to Brother Awar so that he can go a little bit deeper into his thoughts on, Brother Awar, you was talking about them finances. How, if you can give us a scenario about the finances and why they cause tension in the relationship and sometimes even cause a breakdown to where the relationship becomes dissolved. Go ahead and expound on that and anything else you want to expound on. The mic is yours.
Right. Like it says in the Apocrypha, right, it says that, I'm going to start with that. It says if a woman maintains her husband, she has a wage. Okay? A lot of men, especially Israelite men, they don't like to work, man. They don't like to work. And women get mad at that. Why? Because it's in our nature to take care of your woman. Me personally, I always love take care of my woman. I just like to do that. If she want to work, that's a thing. But if I can take care of her and make sure she have what she wants, I don't know. I'm just built like that. I was raised like that, and I like that. But some men have a problem with that, and then some men, that becomes a problem in the relationship. And there's some men that just don't like to work. They don't like to work. They don't like to save. They don't know how to budget money. There's a lot to it, and that causes a lot of problems. One thing I say about sisters, a lot of them, it's very rare you meet a sister that's bad with finances. She knows how to put away money for a rainy day. She doesn't waste her money. But men, that's one thing that women overtake us is dealing with finances like that, But that's all I'm going to say on that. I ain't going to go too far on that.
Yeah, that's a big one, too. Like you said, it's the balance, the finances, because men don't understand, man, she a gold digger. No. She's looking for security. She wants to know that the lights are not going to be cut off tomorrow or that she and her young children are going to be in the street. And so that maternal instinct, that female instinct, because her position oftentimes, or the Torah tells you, is to build up the internal of her house. And if you don't give her the tools, if you don't give her the supplies, if you don't give her the resources, it causes for a disrupt in the structure of the relationship. And so this is why you see going on, you hear, she's, they bringing home the bacon, but we don't do bacon. But basically she's bringing home the food and having to cook it. And like you said, the Apocrypha speaks on that, about the woman who maintains her husband. She's going to feel indifferent about that because it's out of kind of the natural order of things. And like you said, a lot of men, they're not going to want to hear that one. But it definitely is one that will put strain on a relationship because people are going to be stepping into spaces that they really shouldn't be in. The man, if we're going to be real, keep it 100, he's supposed to be a provider. He provides. Like I said, he gives her the tools and the ability to do. And then you have men who are very stingy. They may have the money, but now it's an ego thing, and they want the women to beg them. They want the wife to have to beg them and have to come to them for every little thing that they need. And this is a level of dehumanization as well. It's like treating her like a child. You understand what I'm saying? And so that also causes a conflict within the relationship because some men, as well as women, if they're the ones who are supporting, use money as a tool of oppression. To say, look, I got the money, I got the power, and I'll suppress you. So that's very, very interesting. I'm going to go over to Sister Mayana. Go ahead, Sister Mayana. If you want to expound on any of your points, go ahead and do so.
Well, the point that I brought out was more about the external factors that tend to influence the marriages. Like, for example, you brought out, actually, I think it was Sister Dallas that brought out that friends who are not going to have to deal with the consequences of your separation in marriage or the separation of your relationship have a lot of opinion about how you need to conduct and what you can accept within your relationship from the perspective of what they would handle. And there are different variations of that with the males as well. They get around their brothers, and their brothers will tell them, your wife has too much freedom, or your wife has too much to say. Recently I was having a discussion, and they brought out the accountant Esther and how Vashti becomes dethroned, and all of that is basically the result of the king cowering to peer pressure. His boys are like, "Are you going to have to talk to you like that?" And making him feel like, "I wouldn't do that." And if she gets to do that, what can happen to us? And our wives are going to see, the queen talks to her husband like that, so they're going to talk to us like that. You need to handle your business, son. And the king is listening to his boys, and the next thing you know, his marriage is done. So we see that this was not spirit that was informing this action. Instead, it was the opinion and the selfishness of his friends. They were thinking about how this was going to affect them and telling him what he needed to do in his household, and he responded to that. Leave alone the fact that these were drunken men who were asking very specifically, you heard your woman looks good, you'll bring her out here so we can look at her too. They were asking to honor his wife, and she did not, feel like she needed to present herself to these men in this drunken state who they have been drinking for several weeks and were specifically and blatantly asking to gaze upon her beauty. to basically objectify her. So, and her husband, instead of protecting his house, protecting his wife, decided to protect his appearance to these men. And we see that happening a lot. We hear a lot about the brothers putting their brothers ahead of the health of their relationship of their household. So that's one of the ways that outside influences can negatively impact the internal infrastructure of the home. Now, with regards to finances, we were bringing out the scripture that we've been referring to in the Apocrypha is found in Ecclesiastes, the 25th chapter and the 22nd verse, and it says in the King James Version, a woman, if she maintains her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. Now, these are words that we repeat, we copy and paste, but I don't think that we fully interrogate. What we see here is that this woman, that if she is maintaining her husband, which automatically refers to a reversal in the role. This woman is occupying a role that's not hers to occupy. So we see there's a lack of order. Order has been disrupted. And there is a predictable consequence of this. It's recorded in our record for us to see that there's a predictable consequence for when women are outside of their order, things that which is expected of her. Her contribution to a household is one thing, but her being put in the lead of that household in terms of how finances are acquired, provision is not her responsibility. So we see that if she is forced into that position, she's full of anger. So we hear them and go, oh, I don't know, look at the attitude of these women, look at how they treat us, or they don't respect us, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's predictable. These are predictable consequences. You have put her in a position that's not hers to occupy. Yes, she's angry. Impudence. Impudence is that sassy attitude that the men are saying, okay, well, now she doesn't respect me. Look at how she talks to me. She's sassing me. She's cheeky around me. She doesn't respect me. Okay, the things that, she's doing that because she's in this lead position that you have abandoned her to, and these are predictable consequences. And much reproach. She's looking down on him. She's looking down on him. And see, we have this mentality that even as adults, I mean, maybe in high school it was cute, but as adults, we think about this ride or die chick like it's something to aspire to. That is not what we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to enable our men to do nothing. We're supposed to encourage them to be who they are meant to be. They're in bad situations. They have bad circumstances, and rather than, powder their backside and give them the breast and say, listen, it's not their fault, we're supposed to encourage them to be men. We are very cautious about emasculating our men, but we're very willing to infantilize them. And the consequence of infantilizing our men is the same as emasculating them, because in both instances, they're not given the space to become men and to act as men and to occupy those spaces, because we're treating them like children. We're not letting them, we're not stepping aside and allowing them to do what they are supposed to do. Our brother once spoke about how, generally speaking, because obviously it's not an axiom, but generally speaking, women are very good with money. They're good with their money. They ration their money. They budget their money. They know bills have to get paid. Children have to eat. And they're good with that because of their circumstances. Women have had to earn money and keep money and be prepared for things, prepared for adversities in ways that our men don't necessarily have to. Not that our men don't have their own challenges, but generally speaking, they don't have to worry about if the child is going to eat. Women have that burden because men can have a child with a woman and then leave. And they do. And the woman doesn't have, to the same degree, that same kind of agency or freedom. So she's always thinking about, there's someone outside of me that is depending on me. So they're better with money for those reasons, generally speaking. There are some women that are incredibly selfish and don't have that kind of instinct, which the sister Emunah had referred to as a natural nurturing instinct that women have, because they are considering the stability of the home, which she spoke even of the animal kingdom, where we look at the lionesses or other female creatures in the kingdom, in the animal kingdom, what they look for in their mates is not sexual gratification, but they look for whether or not they are going to be the type of people that can protect the space, if they are going to be ideal candidates to bring forth. That we, in our language and in our estimation, we talk about it in terms of righteous seed. In the terms of the kingdom, they're looking for viable seed. So this is going to be an offspring that will be able to survive the elements and survive the environment, and they're looking for someone who's going to help them protect the child. And if this is the weaker of the species, are less likely to find mates among the women, because women don't want to mate with the weaker species within their species, and that's something that transcends. So, just speaking to that point, I added that, and speaking to my previous point, I added what I did. So with that, I yield the mic.
All right, thank you for that. For those who have just joined us, this is the Relationship Challenge. I'm your co-host, Emunah Yisrael. And right now we're speaking about the top 5 reasons that relationships fail. And here's the thing, like we said last week, I think it was last week, we usually say relationship challenge, but we just think about, in terms of the man and woman relationship. But there are also other relationships. There are parental to your child relationships. There are brother to brother, Akim relationships. There are sister relationships. These are relationships all around, and we're speaking, and hopefully on the second half we'll speak about relationships all around. But on a relationship level between a man and a woman, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about finances. We're talking about seeking approval outside of the relationship, too much outside influence. We're speaking about whatever it is that you may come up with as reasons as to why. One of the reasons we had was basically being unequally yoked. Or like Brother War said earlier, you didn't know the person really, and you were burning, as we spoke about, and you were, or maybe you were on social media and you couldn't wait for your wife and you couldn't wait for your husband, and you weren't really thinking about the person, you're just thinking about the concept. Like they say, you're thinking about the wedding and not thinking about the actual marriage. And so when you get the person and all of the hormones, because that's what it is, that love stage, there's a lot of dopamine flying around, and there are a lot of all of these hormones that make you feel high. But when that comes down and you really see the person, like, wow, you're just going to leave that right there? Like, everything is going to say, you're not going to wash your dish. And you start arguing about things that you never had a conversation about before. This is what pushes a further wedge between couples, and they grow apart from one another. It's like they end up on 2 different roads, and they're just kind of like either being roommates or they're cohabitating. So this is also to build upon what Brother Awar said, another one of the reasons is you never knew the person to begin with. And I believe it was Sister Dallas who said it, that and once the person doesn't meet your expectation, forget about it. We don't. It's like you have to come in this package. This is what I projected on you. This is who I say you are. You know what I mean? And you don't want to be that? Forget about it. And so I think oftentimes when we're approaching this conversation, we don't even know what a actual relationship is really supposed to look like. How does it really function? Because we've been in dysfunctionality for so long, we don't even really know. I know an elder who's been married, I think, how long did she tell me? Over 60 years. And I'm like, wow, Ima, how you did it? And then she begins to break it down and have the conversation about what you do and how you do. And basically, you don't try to overshadow the other person. Some things you have to let them be because they still have a level of autonomy. Just because they're in a relationship with you or just because you're related to them in whatever fashion doesn't mean they become your shadow. And oftentimes we see that people feel like they're going to absorb you. And that's not a healthy relationship. If you go into a relationship and you're no longer you and the person has absorbed you, then now, it's a codependent situation going on there, and it might be something very unhealthy that one has to take a look at. And so for me, it's one of them is we don't know what a working relationship looks like to begin with. And therefore, we begin to wing it and make many major mistakes along the way. But I'm going to give it to Sister Dallas at this time and allow you to expound on any thoughts that you may have heard or bring forth anything else that you would like to bring forth at this time. So the mic is yours.
Yes, thank you. Just adding on and expounding on the issue of finances and unmet expectations in that area, that's major. It's major where a lot of believers or followers of the Most High, women in particular, are married to men that don't work or don't work enough or don't work consistently. I counseled a woman very recently where that was the challenge. And that expectation that she has for her husband is the correct expectation. It's righteous. So a lot of times when we say, well, you have an expectation that's unmet, and okay, so we have an impasse here. Even when your expectation is righteous, that's the right thing you should be expecting of them. If they're not there and you want the marriage to last, something has to bend. So a lot of women, we're trying to confront, to connect. We're trying to make this work the way we want it to work, the way it should be working. He needs to be this provider, and he's not. So we're nagging and we're manipulating and doing all kinds of foolish things, trying to express the pain and the disgust and the resentment that we've got. But really, when we do all that, we're in God's way. We're in God's way because all he can hear is our mouth. He can't hear God's mouth, God's instruction. Whatever the problem is can't be removed because nobody's paying attention to that. We're just griping at the manifestation of it. So loving him for where he is, not for what he's doing. I said this to this woman. She was so angry at her husband and resentful. She didn't even see all the beautiful things that she fell in love with before they got married. She said, oh, he's not the same person. He's the same person. You're just majoring on different aspects of the same person that you married. And she was saying, well, I can't see that person anymore. But if we just took off of that and loved him where he is, not for what he's doing per se, but just where he's at, giving him unconditional respect like we want unconditional love, and that's another, how dare you say that, unconditional. How dare you say that? Again, we want unconditional love for where we are, and we're all growing people. We're not going to be that perfect wife or that perfect woman to him because we have faults, we have areas we're not ready to deal with if we're being honest with ourselves, areas that affect him that we're not ready to deal with just yet, and we are fully expecting him to be okay with where we are. So we need to be okay with where they are and love them where they are and allow them that chance to grow. And with that, I'll yield the mic.
Now, wait a minute now, Sister Dallas. I got to bring you back. I got a scenario. Hold up. Don't put your phone on mute. Got a scenario. Because I heard one like this just this week, too, right? And so you have a husband and a wife, okay, and they have children. They have responsibilities, and I want to touch on loving them where they are and all of this stuff. That people right now who may be going through is like, what? Okay, so this and the husband has no ambition. In the Caribbean, we'll call him walkless. Like he just has no ambition. He has these pipe dreams with no way to get to them, and not concerned with the household, not concerned with the children, not concerned with putting food on the table. The woman has assumed all of these responsibilities. In that scenario, if that person comes to you, how do they love that person where they are? Or are they, like I believe Sister Mayana spoke about it earlier, are they enabling them to further be in that position? Is having expectations of that person also an aspect of love? So let's just call the person, I don't know what to call him, Reba. Okay, and so Reba is like, okay, I can't take this, sis. Bring. Answer your phone. This dude doesn't want to do anything. He's asking me where's the food every night. He's demanding of me that which he does not produce. What would you tell that person?
A lot. But for one, it's real. No, you're absolutely right. This is for real things that lots and lots and lots and lots of women are dealing with. So I do not make light of that challenge, not one bit. But I will say we serve a living God who's in the here and now, knows where Reba is, knows what Reba is dealing with, and has a solution for her, that she can remain in obedience and have God's solution to work out her family life. The scripture says The Most High has the heart of the kings in his hand and can turn it whichever way he wills. We know that men are, whether they assume to be or not, whether they're acting it out or not, are kings of their homes, their households. God holds that heart, not us, not even himself. God holds it. So God can work with him in the way that we can't, no matter what we're trying to do or not do. Because at some point she saw potential in him. So there's something, no one's a waste, no one's a throwaway. There's something in there that should it mature, can do much good for that family. That's what she wants out of it. So, yeah, I get it. She's fed up. She's frustrated. I totally understand that. We should go to the Most High when we're in that position for whatever reason and ask for his solution, not ours. You don't cut off the arm because it's not functioning when there's possibility it could function.
All right. Now, that was the voice of Sister Dallas. Dallas said, I got one more question, sister. She comes in the house. What does she do? Because this is real. They're like, okay, sister, I hear you. But when you come in the house, you're tired, you just came with the children, and she sees dude over there playing Xbox, PlayStation, drinking a Heineken or whatever he's drinking, what does she do? You know what I mean? In that space and time, that real moment, does she speak to him? Does she not speak to him? Does she ask him questions? Does she ignore him? Does she give him the silent treatment? Like, what does she do?
She speaks to him, and she honors him the way a wife should honor her husband, regardless of his actions. She behaves righteously. So she acknowledges him. How was your day? I mean, basic human stuff. She don't go lit into him because of all the stuff he's not doing. That is not productive. Even if you're right, it's not productive to go about it that way. You sow into him honor because you want to reap that. That's how you go about that day and every day until you're getting until you're reaping the good that you're sowing.
Thank you so much for that, Sister Daz. We're going to pass this question around. We're going to come to Brother Jarrell. Brother Jarrell, what should Reba do? And you're a man. What would you like to hear from, the fictitious Reba? If the man is not meeting expectations, like we heard out of the Apocrypha, and she is now growing indignant because of the situation, your thoughts? And your thoughts on whatever else you wanted to expound on.
Yeah, well, forgive me for the background noise because I am driving. But my thing is, dealing with that issue, I would say that she made the mistake and the horse is out of the barn. And the only alternative is to pretty much do what Sister Dallas was saying. But, and this was reiterated by Brother Paul in, I think it was the book of Ephesians, where there was a controversy where these women were being converted by the Holy Spirit, and their husbands, were not even feeling the Holy Spirit. And so Paul said that, and I think one of the women told him that her husband was doing some extreme sinning. And he said, well, the man said he didn't want to leave you, so you really don't have a right to divorce him or to, join up with one of these men in the church. So let your conversation, which is her conduct, be a minister to him that he might be drawn to want to join and honor God. But to me, marriage, and even though I yielded the mic a little earlier, I wasn't too keen on what the topic was, but I'll give my opening comment right now. It'll only take me maybe a minute and a half. Marriage was something that God had invented. Just like he made us, marriage is an invention of his. So first and foremost, God is the preeminent character in this transaction. The two people getting involved in marriage is getting involved in God's business, and he controls. So I'm going to maybe step on your toe, Sister Mayana, in that you said that you're going to want to kind of maintain a certain identity, but traditionally when a woman marries a man, she joins that man. She takes on his name, and her identity to a certain degree is lost in that when she goes out and conducts business, her husband has the right to overrule and to rescind any contract that she has, and I actually exercised my right in doing that one time just to see if it could be done. My wife had bought a car, and she went down there, put my name on it and everything and all of this, and got the car. And, yeah, I got me a new car. I didn't say a word to her. I went back to the dealership and rescinded the contract, and she got a little bit out of shape. But long and the short of it, she got an even better car as a result of her just kind of going along with it. You know, she was somewhat a little rebellious and a little upset about it, but the long and the short of it is she got an even better car in the long run. But the only point that I would say is that when we are calling ourselves submitting to the institution or the estate of marriage, we have to see how God had ordained it to be so, and he controls. He has ordained that the woman was to be covered, because you said that, you know, the man shouldn't cover you, but I'm saying, well, heck, I think I can give you a direct quote out of Scripture where Paul says that the man is to be the covering for the woman. Just as Christ is head over him, so too the man shall be the covering over the woman. So the woman is going to lose a certain amount of identity, and she has to relinquish that in order to build. And Jesus, as well as the New and Old Testament both, talk about the steps of the righteous are ordered. So if they're ordered, who's giving these orders? And if they're ordered from, he didn't say that they're ordered prior to marriage. He didn't say that they were ordered, you know, you can do whatever you want after marriage is over. The steps of the righteous are ordered, and we get clues as to what this ordering is all about, because not only are we going to build something, but we're going to create and generate an inheritance for not just ourselves, but for our children and our grandchildren. And with that, I yield. So I think I've answered the question, but I figured I would kind of, you know, get us back to where the real focus should be on God is the head of this whole game called marriage. And if we manage to get involved with somebody who just didn't measure up, we need to repent in that, God, you know, I married this person in ignorance, but we got other passages in the Bible which talks about we have to keep our word. We have to honor our word even to our own hurt. I think it's Proverbs 15, where it talks about a man honors his word even to his own hurt. So God is not going to let you off the hook where you married this freakazoid woman and, you know, now you get filled with the Holy Ghost 5 years later and she still wants to be a freakazoid. Well, you just have to pray and maybe even deal like Hosea, that God is going to redeem her and make her out to be that God-honoring woman you want. And that's a similar situation that I'm kind of dealing with, but my wife wasn't no freakazoid to that degree. She was out there, but I ain't going to throw her under the bus too much because she's out here to defend herself. So I'm going to kind of keep that one on the we'll talk about that one another day, because I'm hoping we can have a session where, you know, in the relationship challenge, we'll get a married couple dealing with some of the issues. Because I think this was one of the issues where, you know, my wife wanted to be able to do what she wants to do to fulfill these dreams. She always wanted to be a nurse. She became a nurse, but at what price did the family suffer in her becoming a nurse? You know, I have a 21-year-old son who has yet to finish high school. And it's only now that my wife is admitting that it was her responsibility and her failure, even though I'm the head of the household. God is going to hold me into account ultimately, but you know, when I'm being accused of being a bad leader, I ask the question, when did you do what I asked you to do? Because if you're going to evaluate me on the basis of being a leader, you are supposed to carry out my orders to the best of your ability, and I think that's a failure of the church as well. So with that, I would just yield. I yield.
All right. Now, that was the voice of Brother Jarrell. I want to thank you so much. And I just said, myself and Sister Mayana, we were speaking about that, getting actual married couples on and having them, because it is the relationship challenge in that respect, to have them, you know, discuss something and we can watch the dynamic and have the conversation. So that is also a very interesting. I know you call Mayana's name, Mayana and Emunah kind of sound similar, but I'm the one who said about not absorbing another individual. And yes, on many levels, she connects to him, but he also connects to her as well. And we see throughout time that individuals, their whole personalities. When I'm talking about being totally absorbed, you no longer have your own. And the Most High is the one who orders the steps. But when the woman, for instance, is totally absorbed by the man, she cannot be or do her function because she was created to be a help, but not the help that the man needs. It's the help that the Most High created. And Mayana, don't let me lie. So when she's absorbed of him, it's no longer I'm going to do what is right and just in the sight of the Most High. I'm going to do what is right and just in your sight. And at which time we see many, that's what Mayana was speaking about, this Bonnie and Clyde mentality, that we're going to ride this till the wheels fall off. That's not what an Azir Kanibdo is. That's not what the helpmate that the Most High made is. She is supposed to reflect to you, listen, if we're going off course, she is that co-pilot. She's supposed to reflect, hey, wrong direction.
That's
you
right.
understand what I'm saying? It's just like a co-pilot. She knows how to fly the plane too, but that's not her primary function. But if something falls off, she knows how to fly a plane. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like myself and my husband is driving in a car and you sleepy. I know how to jump in the driver's seat and drive. It's not. I'm not the woman who's like, yo, let me get that wheel. That's not me. I'll let you drive. That's what you do. But if you sleepy, I can take over. And this is that relationship. This is that give and take. But what happens is when we think that you're going to be absorbed totally, and this is what a lot of the teachings is saying, that you no longer have your mind. You no longer have your thoughts. You no longer have that relationship with the Creator. That right there is problematic. And that's why I said that model may want to be looked at because she doesn't have a relationship with the Creator. It's like in the time of Hannah. Hannah went to Eli. She went to the priest, and her husband had the conversation with her. He's like, well, am I not, better than 10 sons to you? And she's like, you know what? I'm going to pray to the Creator. Because she knew that her husband was limited, just like Jacob said to Raquel. He said, do I give child? Why are you mad at me? So for us to understand that we are both daughter and son before the Creator. It's not, and sometimes in the marriage with that absorption, it's being taught that you're not daughter and son before the Creator, but you really are. The man is the son of the Most High, and the woman is the daughter of the Most High. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about absorbed, that when we do that, it can lead us into other places because, again, she's neutralized, and her function is no longer functioning. But with that, I'm going to go to Awar. If Awar is still there, I'm not sure if he's still there or if he left already. Brother Awar, wanted to say something before you went?
Yeah, I want to say something right quick on that.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Proverbs 31:27. This will answer the question you asked before about that situation. You come in and he's on the Xbox and what you just said as well, which is absolutely correct. It says Proverbs 31:27. It says, she looketh well to the ways of her household and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. So like you just said, a woman had that, especially a virtuous woman, this woman where all women should pattern themselves after. She know how to take the wheel. She know how to be that pilot. So if she came in and say she came in and saw him doing that, right? Okay. A woman that's virtuous, she gonna handle business if he's doing it or not, and her actions can make him feel like, Dad, I'm a bum, man, and that would make him step up his game. But if she stay to her course, everybody's still gonna live. But where the problem comes in when these women have that position to be a little, they can move and maneuver better, they downgrade the man. Oh, you're a bum. That happened to me once. Oh, you ain't nothing but a bum. Now that ain't a bum. It's just I had some luxury time, but I was called a bum. But if a woman that's wise know how to navigate through that, know how to just play your position, then you can get through that period. Because that's not, most of the time, that's not going to be solid and permanent. That's probably a time period he's going through. A lot of women don't know how to do that. Understanding that the man is not in his right mind. They don't understand the price. They don't look at the big picture. And he's just children. He's just a lazy bum, or like they said, outside influences, or them stupid shows. Put a little evil seeds in women's mind. This is that bum they were talking about on Wendy Williams. So a virtuous woman would always take charge as far as in her order, not going, making him feel better. And when he see that, He's going to snap right back in. He's going to say, oh, man, look at her do all this. Man, my woman knows all right. Let me step up my game. I can't do that. I can't let her take on all this. Having points by you being on.
I have something I'd like to add to that.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna go, but I just want to say that was beautiful the way Mona broke that down. But go ahead, you got the floor.
All right, shalom,
Okay.
Awa. Be safe.
All right,
Okay.
shalom. Back next week. Most High bless. Be safe. And thank you for tuning in as always.
Yes, yes.
See you next week, bro.
Okay.
Shalom, fam. So I'm gonna. Whose son is it on the round table?
We was gonna go to if Brother Jarrell got something to say real quick, and then we're gonna come over to you, Sister Mayana. But just on what Brother Award just said, I want to also say it's not one size fits all. You have to know the type of person that you're dealing with, because if you come in there and be Superwoman with the S on your chest, that might push him to be more lackadaisical, because she got it. So you really have to be able to assess the situation that you're in. Like Sister Dallas said, you don't necessarily have to bug the individual, but you do state, what it is that you require. State what it is that you need. And this goes for men and women. You understand? And some things because different things motivate people. It may be friends that motivate people. They may never clean up, and they hear some people coming over, all of a sudden they cleaning up. You understand what I'm saying? Or it may be competition that motivates people. You have to know what their motivating factor is, because definitely they're going to have to do some soul work, but some things might backfire on your behind. If you try to say, I'm going to cover everything and let them do what they want to do, and then you're going to end up always doing it. And so this, like I wanted to say, just assess your situation, because it's not one size fits all. But Brother Jarrell, and then I'll come to Sister Mayana.
Well, the one thing that I would like to kind of point to is that Jesus, when he talks about the relationship that the believer is to have towards him, is a marital type of relationship. And when we call ourselves becoming one with Jesus, we participate in his death, burial, and resurrection, and we are, as Paul put it, new creatures. So in this issue of marriage and how God even relates to, even in the Old Testament, how he related to his people as being the husbandmen to them, I would say that in order for us to really appreciate the loss of one identity in the attainment of a new identity is really what's going on. And to me, anything that God is going to bestow upon me, I'm going to receive it with gladness, and I'm going to be looking for a blessing to come out of it. So for the woman to go into a marriage with this idea, I'm losing myself. Well, yes, you're going to lose yourself, but for all of the things that you were able to do as an individual, you will do far greater things, and your name will go beyond just your existence in this world. And so that's what I think we need to really be focusing on is, what's the end goal? What's the purpose of marriage? Is it for me to, realize some of these childhood dreams of becoming a nurse, or is it to represent and be almost like an ambassador to manifest God's glory? Because, when we say the Lord's Prayer, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring his kingdom, on this earth. We want his will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. So maybe in us dying to ourselves as individuals and dying to all of these preconceived ideas of what marriage is going to do for me, maybe we need to, bow the knee and say, God, I am willing and prepared to receive all that you have from me, and I'm going to obey. I'm going to do what you would command me to do. Because I love what Brother Awar had put down, because the thing is, that would be the measure that if I was a woman to ask my children, how many times have my children said, Mommy, you are blessed? How many times has the husband, sang your praises? These things, to me, are more of a barometer to really see whether or not you're in keeping it and honoring God, or is it all about you? And with that, I yield the floor.
All right, thank you for that. That was Brother Jarrell coming back. Brother Jarrell, what's up with Brother Jarrell and the lose? I'm going to have to, Sister Maya, I'm going to come to Sister Mayana, but this is the thing, because this is my area right here. I'm going to come to Sister Mayana. This is my area that I've been focusing on for almost 2 decades, which is self-improvement, growth, and edification, so that you can be, when we talk about marriage, when we talk about unions, it's a business, basically, in the sense of the merger. You don't totally lose yourself in the business. You bring to the table the things that are going to make you be able to operate. And what happens oftentimes is when we think that we don't have our personalities, our gifts, and our missions, and we are supposed to just throw that all to the side and not use them for what it is that we're doing, what happens is the person slowly begins to wither away within. And when you bring forth children in that environment, you are maybe telling your child one thing, but your action tells them much more. And so that's what happens oftentimes with parenting. We're not showing them through our actions, listen, this is how you serve the Most High with joy and gladness. You're over to the side saying, show the Most High with joy and gladness, but you mean they're angry all the time. And so it's very important for each individual before they come into unions to begin to grow into themselves and know the purpose that the Most High created. Because some of these mergers are that, as we're speaking about, the reason they fall apart is because they weren't a good match to begin with. You understand what I'm saying? And this is for me, it's very important to get, because we heard last week some conversation about us thinking that when you enter into marriage, you finish. And if you think about you at any point, that's selfish. But I'm not sure where we're getting this from. Because a healthy you and a healthy him makes a healthy union. You understand what I'm saying?
I can tell you where you're getting it from.
Wait, well, hold on. I'm gonna go to Sister Mayana because we don't, but we need balance in this. We need a holistic view of what a marriage is. It's just like if 2 people come together and they're not fit. Okay, 2 people are gonna be unfit together. You understand, whether it be physically, emotionally, or whatever the case may is. So we need working parts to make the whole thing work, and that doesn't include totally, not to say totally becoming someone else. That's another thing altogether. But I'm gonna give it to Sister Mayana, and then we'll check on Brother Sal, because he's been real quiet over there in social media land. So we're gonna come to Sister Mayana and check on our Brother Sal over there and see what's the what. Sister Mayana, the mic is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to preface my first response by reminding the listeners that earlier you stated that the relationships that we discuss, even on these segments, extend beyond the male and female paradigm into the realm of brotherhood, sisterhood, and our other relationships. Having said that, Brother Jarrell quoted you, but named me. And as you say, our names are similar, but more than that, very often our positions are in the chat, which is the Hebrew principle of being of one mind. So very often we do agree. And in this particular regard, we once again agree. And I want to say this. Even though Emunah and I agree on a lot of things, there are points that we don't necessarily agree, and there are points where we are coming to an agreement from different places. And it's because of those differences, and it's because that we can arrive to the same place coming from different spaces. My background is in anthropology. Hers is in something completely different. But because of the fact that she has specialized in that area and I have specialized in another area, when we do come together to discuss a topic, we're able to present it in a way that is different, that is more concise, it's concise, but it's also fuller, because we're presenting more than one perspective, and we're able to communicate that to the women that we deal with in a way that is receivable by them. The same is true when I work with Elders Mariah or Elders Sadaika. They have totally different perspectives than I do in a lot of ways, and we can agree that we don't agree in certain spaces, but when we do agree, the things that we contribute to the framework of the nation and the work that has to be done in the nation, it's always something incredibly beautiful because we respect one another. And that's something that we are trying to say to you when we say that women have to be allowed to be who they are when they enter into the union. I have at no point, to be clear, I have never said that a woman does not relinquish certain things. In fact, I have often stated that women now, because of the fact that they have been put in the position of having to occupy spaces that aren't theirs to occupy, that when they become part of a union, they are fearful of relinquishing that kind of control because vulnerability is scary, especially if they cannot trust that the man they have to submit to is going to have their best interest at heart. And what I do encourage women to do and will continue to encourage women to do is to know who they are prior to getting into these unions, because if you cannot contribute to that man's household, you do not belong there. If you are, you cannot say, I cannot wait for my king to fill me up because I'm this empty bobblehead and I own nothing going into this man's household. Going back to what Sister Emunah has tried to illustrate to the panel and to the listening audience, in the beginning, the purpose of the woman was to reflect back to her, reflect back to Adam. That is our job. To ask us not to do our job is to go against what the Most High created us to do. He said, I will create, because people will come with this help me, helpmate, playmate, sexmate, roommate. That's not in Scripture. Scripture gives you a phrase. It's not, helpmeet doesn't even exist. It's a whole entire thought. It says, I will make a helpmeet for him. And it is because we have a preference for the King James Version, but we don't like to admit that we don't speak that. And we don't know what these words mean. Meat does not mean, it's not a compound word. It's not hyphenated. Meat is an individual, standalone word that means fit, worthy, suitable, and appropriate. It's a British word. You have to admit you just don't know 1611 British. You don't know it. So it means to be fit. This woman was created fit. She was already created worthy. She was already created appropriate. There was nothing to fill her up with. She was there to do a job. Why? Because it was not good for man to be alone. So if the man is the only principle, the only energy, and the only vibration in the marriage, he is alone. He is by himself. If she is not allowed to have any thought, she's not allowed to contribute anything to the forward progression of the union. That man is alone, and that union is against the will of the Most High. She does not sit back and congratulate him where he is. That's not what he's supposed to do. She is supposed to say, "This is not good. This is not good. We're not where the Most High asks us to be." Now, does that mean she demeans him, degrades him, diminishes him as a man? Absolutely not, because she wasn't created to do that either. But she is she's created to encourage him, to give him, to help him, to say, "Baby, this is not where we want to be. This is not what the Most High asked us to do. This is not what the Most High has planned for you." She's supposed to reflect back to him his bigger purpose, his creative purpose, the fact calling a man a king who has not taken on the accoutrements of kingship, who is not behaving as a king. That's projecting something onto him that he hasn't accepted and isn't going to accept if we pretend he's not doing what he's supposed to do. No, you don't beat him down. No, you don't highlight all of his worst moments. Instead, you say, "This is what you're good at. Let's do this together. This is what the Most High wants for us." You go from a position of Torah. It is true that what women do, unfortunately, and to our own detriment, is that we complain. We complain, we become discouraged, we become disheartened, we become disenchanted with the man who is, falling short of where he needs to be and what he does. And instead of doing that, what would be better is to say to him, "I still believe in you. I still have faith that we can do this. I will do whatever I can to get you where you're going. I will assist you. I will not enable you. I will assist you. I will be supportive of you. I will support you. You are not my child. These women, we are not their mothers. That is not our job. Our job is not to mother them. The moment that a man is, and I've said this many times, a man is supposed to arouse the womanly instinct in you, not your motherly instinct. If you have gone to the point where you are mothering that man, you are not in a marriage. Point blank. You're not in a marriage. That is not happening. You are not doing any magnanimous thing by supporting that. You are adding to a very bad situation. We talked about the scenario the sister gave is very similar to one of the scenarios that we have to counsel on one of our sisters on who came to us publicly in one of our forums, or actually her account was referred to us, and the sister was in a similar position where the man is not doing anything. For whatever his reasons are, he has lost the will, has lost the ambition to resume working, and has become complacent around the house, and now the burden of all the bills has fallen on her. She's already, her physical body is sick, and she cannot receive the health insurance that she needs because it was tied to what he was doing, and he's not concerned about that. And she has a debilitating illness that she has to work through, and so in addition to having to deal with the limitations of her body, in addition to having to shoulder the burden of the household, in addition to having to deal with the children, she has to deal with this man. Now, we talked earlier about communication, and one of the brothers, or maybe it was a sister, someone on the panel mentioned that I think it was a war, who mentioned sometimes the guy is going through something, and what he needs is the support of his woman, the encouragement of his woman to know that she's still there. Absolutely. But one of the things we also stated was there's an absence of communication. We talked about non-communication and miscommunication. This is an example of non-communication. If you need something, voice it. If you're going through something she's not going to read your mind. That's not part of her job description. It's absolutely not. She doesn't know. You can't say, well, she's supposed to know. She's not supposed to know. Explain to her, baby, this is hard for me. I'm going through something. Give her a chance to help you. Help with the other part of it. She is going to be a help meet to you. She is not going to be a soothsayer for you. She's not going to be your mother. She's not going to read your mind. She's not supposed to powder your behind. She's not supposed to do that. Tell her what's going on. Women is the same. If you are having a bad day at work, don't come home and take that on your husband and think he understands that you're really mad at your boss. You're not really mad at him. He doesn't know. Baby, I had a long day at work. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'll cook dinner. Give me a minute. I just need a minute because bad things happen to me at work. But we don't do that. We expect for them to know, and they don't know. You have to use your words. Because if you're going to use your words to complain, and in some cases people want to use their fists to express things, then you very well know how to use your words. One of the first things we teach our children is, hey, use your words. Use your words. You have to communicate your needs. The same way we communicate our needs to the Most High, and the Most High knows our heart already, but we know how to pray and say, Father, I need this. Why can't we look at the people in our households and say the same thing? Baby, I need this. I need this. This is hard for me. This is what I need from you. Once you have communicated your need to the other person and that person then rejects you, then you're on a different plane for saying, okay, this is not working out. We have to find new things. But you're not trying the basic things. You have to say what you need. And then you have to hear other people when they're trying to give you what you need. And not say, well, I don't like how you said it. I don't like what you're talking about. This is not comfortable for me. I'm having a bad day. Let me sulk by myself. No, we're adults. We don't have time to sulk by. We have children. We have other people we're accountable for. This idea that a woman comes into a household and loses who she is, that's not scripture. That's not even Genesis 2. Genesis 2 tells us exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite. And this idea that, she gets absorbed into the man, absolutely not. Because just like when the woman enters into a union, she is not just herself anymore, neither is he. She's not the only one that has to say, okay, I need to let go of certain things because it's not about me anymore. The man has to do the same because it's not about him. They are supposed to become one flesh in the regard that they are considerate of one another. Not that one becomes the other. There's a consideration now. You become of one mind. Emunah and I are not the same person. They're because you don't have, or you're not privy to conversations outside of what we do on the air. You do not know what conversations we have. But we are not the same person. But we do have the ability to communicate and come to a heart so that when you hear us or when you see us, you say, okay, well, those sisters, they got a chemistry. They ride together really well. Me and Emunah, and Suzaika, me and Mariah. We discuss things out, and then we can present things as a unified because we discuss things already. That's what relationships, whether they are between men and women, sisters, or between brothers, need to be. And the reason I'm emphasizing the communications that I have with these sisters over other types of relationships is because it has become a thing for people out in the social media world and even in other spaces to believe there's no such thing as sisterhood. And that's why I'm emphasizing this idea of how I communicate with other women, because women don't think that they can communicate with each other and don't believe that it's safe to disagree with each other or other people. Black women specifically have been taught to fear their dissent, fear their opinions should they not conform to someone else. Well, it's okay to disagree. It's okay to have your own opinion and position, but it's not okay to be contentious and bitter and hostile with one another. And if you can't do it with your sisters, there's no way you're going to do it with your husband or with your brothers or even with your children. You have to understand the spaces and respect the spaces that everyone around you occupies. And with that, the floor is whomever.
Oh, man, Sister Mayana went in on that one. All praise be to the Most High. I want to thank everybody for just joining us. This is the Relationship Challenge. We're talking about top 5 reasons that relationships fail. And this is what Mayana just spoke about is why I vibe the Relationship Challenge. And also I do take time to heal on Wednesdays because the thought of we may not all agree, but we can have a respectable conversation and all leave with something that we can meditate on and grow from and better ourselves. And this is the respect that we're trying to restore because for some reason we think if we don't agree, that's fighting words. What? You said you don't agree? That doesn't have to be the case, and we're demonstrating that for now 12 weeks straight. But for right now, Brother Sal. Let me check on Brother Sal over there and see what's going on, if we have any callers who would like to chime in at this time, or if we have any text messages or emails or whatever the case may be. So, Brother Sal, are you there?
Yes, I am. And once again, this is the Relationship Challenge, Volume 12, and the number is 646-716-7320. We have a lot of activity, actually, on social media. There's people listening to the show, and I appreciate everybody that's tuning in on social media, on Blog Talk Radio. Check it out, the Relationship Challenge, Volume 12. I have a couple questions I gathered up, and see somebody pressing number 1. Again, if you have any questions, people, just dial the number and press number 1, and we'll add you in the conversation. The only rule that I have is that there's no foul language. You got to keep it clean, keep it professional once you call in. But let your voice be heard. Again, that number is 646-716-7320. You can call in via phone or via Skype. Let's go to the phone lines before I get to some of these questions I gathered up. Let's go to the first caller. Let's go to 706. Oh, okay, that person pressed number 1 again. Let's go to 443-815. You're live on air.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brother Mercy. I just wanted to say that this is a very good conversation. And I wanted to, I guess, talk about the scenario with the man that don't work. I mean, I think we find that scenario with Adam in the beginning. Adam was asleep, and a woman was there talking to the serpent. And, there was a study that went out that women talk more than men. I think the study said that 20,000 women speak on an average 20,000 words per day, and men speak about 7,000. So, I mean, I agree with the first study that maybe women may use a few more words than men. How much is that? Maybe 14,000 more words, but, than men on typical. But I would say this. The man not working is the problem. But the woman running her mouth to the serpent is not the solution. And I think that's the problem we got going on. Because then what happens? She brings back, after she talks to the serpent, she brings back some stuff. After talking to the snake, she brings back some stuff she got from the snake, and that was the fruit. So, so what I see in this is the fact that I like to look at a man and who he hangs around with, because I like to look at the laws of nature. Birds of a feather flock together. I like to look at who a man hangs around with. I don't look just at that man. I look at who he hangs around. If you meet a man that's doing good, but he got some bad friends, eventually those bad friends is going to corrupt his good character. And a lot of men, at least the man you describing, sounds like he got some deadbeat friends too. Because I'm going to tell you something. A man that's not doing something, he's not going to hang around men that's doing something. Because men that's doing something will get tired of hanging around a man that's not doing nothing. And then eventually, a man that's doing something is going to talk to the man that say, hey, look, bro. I'm not going to keep, when we go out to eat, I ain't paying for your food. See, a man going to speak straight to another man. He's like, look, I ain't paying. Hey, look, you're a grown man. You buy your own groceries, buy your own food. I'm not treating you. I got my own family to take care of. So my whole thing is like this. Men need to hang around other men to shape them. So that's not the woman's place. I think that man needs to find some friends that are about doing something positive in their lives. He hang around them. They may be able to drop some good ideas off to him and can speak to him like a man, and men should speak to men to help men do better. And that's all I had to say about that. I'm done.
Thank you for that, Brother Mercy. Definitely, birds of a feather do flock together, so we have to look at the whole problem. And as we said, association could really be a downfall for a relationship. Brother Sal, thank you for that, Brother Mercy, and thank you for calling in, Brother Sal. Anyone else pressing one or any more comments or questions that you would like to share?
Yeah, we got another caller. We got a 706-714. You're live on the air.
Hey, good evening, Brother Sal, Miss Emunah, and the other sister. I missed her name.
How you doing?
Oh, man.
Diana.
I miss Diana, my fault. Feeling good like a Hebrew Israelite should. And we're going to get that straight first, because that's all we're supposed to ever do is feel good when we're abiding by the laws, statutes, and commandments. I have one question, and it could be a coupling question with a wake-up question. When are all the black men, so-called black men, so-called black women, going to wake up and realize that the Most High, when he gave the order, was we're supposed to tend the garden. We're supposed to buy land and feed one another. Could I explain that? Ms. Emunah, I'd like you to answer that, please, ma'am.
Come again with the question, please, sir. And can you restate your name?
My name is Brother Kadir Abdiel.
Okay, Brother Kadir, and can you give me the question again, please?
When are we going to do what the Most High said do? All we're supposed to do is take care of one another. And the only work we're supposed to do is tend the garden. When are we going to get it together, go get some land, and unite?
That's a good question. I mean, that's a question that's on the minds of many. I'm a person who likes to study the history of the Hebrew Israelite movement, as some would say, or the awakening. And this has been tried many, many, many times, whether it be Guyana, whether it be Israel, whether it be Liberia, whether it be, Georgia, and different places in the United States and the Caribbean. And here's the issue, what we're talking about today, relationships. It's like we can have those ideas, but if we don't learn to fix and maintain healthy relationships, then it all comes tumbling down. And this has happened time and time again. Why? Because now people begin to vie for positions of power. People begin to exert themselves over one another. You understand? We don't value one another. We don't value children. And it all starts good. And this is something that is not to be a naysayer. It's on record. It all starts good. But then when those relationships become compromised, this is where problems. People get disgruntled and they walk away. And so those, like I said once again, and I'll give it to somebody else, those things are very important. I myself, I'm not just a talker. I left America in 2008 with that very same thought process. Well, why don't we just do such and such? I left America and lived in Africa. But guess what? If you don't have strong relationships, you don't have community. You don't have nation. And, so I'm not just somebody in the armchair. But coming back and looking again and having the Most High teach me and give me understanding, I understand that this lane right here is very, 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 very important, and it's worth discovering. Because if we don't build this solid foundation, like I said, once again, it's all going to come tumbling down. So that's my thought process on the matter.
All right, let's go to Sister Dallas. You want to chime in on that?
No, actually, I'll pass.
All right, anybody else want to chime in before we move on to the next question?
I can chime in on that one. It's Brother Gerald, and I think, to me, he strikes at pretty much the heart of what I see as deficient in the thinking of the black community. It's like, in my particular case, I used to work as a firefighter. I was a firefighter for about 9 years, and then I tried to go to medical school. I got kicked out of medical school and was forced into construction. And the funny thing about that was, during the time that all of this stuff was going on, I had been walking with the Lord since, I'd say, 1993. So I stopped working at the fire department in 98. So I've been, walking and working with the Lord. My wife never had to work, but as walking with the Lord, the Bible talks about trusting the Lord, in all your ways acknowledge him, and lean not to your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. So I was planning on abandoning my family because I thought that, this was not of God. This woman, she don't want to do what I say because I'm trying to build something. Because even when we were dating, I remember the first day that we dated, I was on a swing pushing and telling her what I imagined I was going to do. I'm trying to build a real estate empire such that I would make as much money outside of working at the fire department to where I wouldn't have to work at the fire department anymore. And she was totally for that, but because we were worldly at that point, she got pregnant, even though I told her I wanted to have children at age 35. She wanted to have children before then, and she wanted to have my children. So all of my hopes and dreams were being reconstituted. But my thing is, it was at a point of no return when my son was born that I yielded myself to God. But when I got married in 2000, I believe God treated me like Jacob. Jacob had tricked his brother into doing a whole bunch of different things, or into losing his birthright. But then he goes, and his uncle, Laban, I think his name was, ended up tricking him into marrying the first sister, even though Jacob wanted to marry Raquel. So God has a way of getting even though I'm calling myself honoring God, and I'm walking with him, and he's basically saying, no, it's not about you and your timing where you're going to honor me or not. You're going to honor me regardless. So I would say to a lot of women, when you get in these relationships and they blow up in your face and, we got married and I really thought after we honored God, everything was going to work out right. Well, God is not mocked. What you sow, you shall reap. And he wants people that are going to love him and praise him even through the most adverse conditions. But he also wants us to build some things. Now, my wife can get up at 5:30 in the morning, iron her clothes, and get all primped up, and she can go to work and go work on a job that's going to pay her a wage. But for all the years I've been in business, and I've been in business since 1998 in construction, I really haven't had much assistance, and I think this is something that God is even wrestling with me. Like, why isn't she participating in your business? You need to put foot in her behind and get her on this, because this thing that I'm in as far as construction can be a blessing to not just my children, but my children's children, because it's already a blessing to me and my household, and it's also a blessing to the community. So we need to open our eyes to see that we can generate income for ourselves. We don't need the security and stability of a paycheck, because for all of these corporations that are making money, paying us these wonderful salaries. I got a friend, she works for Edison. She's making over $100,000 a year. But I would say, how much more is Edison benefiting off of her and her talents and skills to where they can afford to pay her that? They are benefiting probably 4 times that, because that's what I've been studying in business, that in order to pay this guy $15 an hour, you have to be making 4 times that in order to call yourself being in business. And this is the whole mentality that black people just have a problem, because I even have a lot of clients where, you know, I'm bringing guys in and I'm subcontracting and I'm not doing nothing but bringing in reliable help to solve this construction problem that they have, and they get a bit of an attitude and ultimately try to take that skilled labor and deal with him directly and cut me out of the profit and all of this, even though this skilled labor, he worked for me for a year. You know, I made no money off of this man. In fact, he caused me to lose money. Now I have an opportunity to regain a benefit by having him come over here and work for them. They don't want me to enjoy that, but when we go to these white corporations like Walmart and all of these places, we don't have a problem spending our money there. So with that, I would just say, you know, black people, we need to really have the confidence of knowing that we have the ability to make our own way, and you will benefit far greater in generating your own business and your own livelihood than you could ever do working on a job.
All right, we have someone who's
thank you for
standing by on the phone lines. Actually, you know that number is 646-716-7320. And I still have your email questions and, you know, questions that I gathered from social media. I'm going to read that out soon. We have like 36 minutes on the air, people, 36 minutes on the air. So, again, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to chime in. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. But you have to press number 1 if you want to add yourself into the conversation. Let's go to 310-800. You're live on the air.
Hello?
How you doing? You live in air. How are you?
Oh, how you doing? I didn't know it was me. Shalom and good evening. How do you call it? I was just excited. I saw Dallas post that she was on a call. So this is my name is Chili, via St. Petersburg, Florida. I found the last call really interesting, saying about how Jacob got tricked for Leah and Rachel and stuff like that. It was kind of interesting, though, because God blessed Jacob more with Leah than, as per se, with Rachel. He blessed her with more children. In the Israelite culture, the more children you have, the more blessed you are, because the more you have to pass down, more territory you expand. How do you call it? But in the topic of marriage and relationships and making them work, there is in this Western culture, there's a really identity crisis. Not an identity crisis, a role crisis, because people really don't know what role they need to function in. But in the scriptures, it is very clear on what the roles are. The problem is that we have effeminate, demoralized, castrated men that don't know how to take their role. And I'm listening to the men in these calls, and I'm really excited because it sounds like we have men in these calls that actually know how to establish and leadership and ignite passion in other men. So I'm really excited that we have Torah men, and then it sounds like very mature, very intelligent women that also understand their roles. And I just find that as amazing. And so basically, all we could do is let our life preach, let our life be a living testimony, and let our life be a catalyst to cause other people to come to jealousy and see how productive, see how effective we are in leading our relationships and our lives, and how the Torah and how Yah blesses us. Well, that's all I have to say, and I just say thank you, Dallas, for posting on Facebook for me to get on this call. I enjoy it.
Shalom, Chile. Glad to hear that.
How you doing?
Yeah, you can expound, Dallas, if you want. Go ahead, you can expound.
Biblical roles is something we all know, but we all have varying degrees of obedience toward. for a lot of reasons. Like I mentioned earlier, God's way is the opposite of human nature. It is our way, our nature to self-preserve, even in the very physical sense. We protect ourselves from injury in a physical sense. We preserve our physical lives by any means necessary. That's our natural response. But in the walk of the Master, we're asked to lay that natural response down and choose his response, which is the opposite. And we fight a lot in that, just in that tug of war. For just coming from a female perspective, that whole attitude of submission, of being an aid to the vision, not a leader of the vision, even for a strong woman like myself, is a challenge. God gave me the right man, though, so just give a shout out to my husband for that. God did certainly put us together, but it's a choice that we have to make. So the concept of losing yourself, that a lot of women either see and identify or feel like they're going through, it's a choice that we make. And if we feel like we're losing ourselves, that fear of loss, that you're drowning and something kicks in to fight for the surface, that's that natural response. But the scripture I'm reminded of often is, he who seeks to save his life will lose it, but those who lose their life for his sake, as in Christ's sake, will find it. That self-sacrificial is not in a pride or martyrdom kind of way, and we talked about this last week as well, but the attitude of, I'm just going to be obedient and see what happens if I do things God's way. And way early on, I think it was Emunah that mentioned enabling. We can enable someone who's not meeting our expectations if we pick up the slack. And that's a very natural way to understand the dynamic. And I'm not denying that. However, I will say something that I ponder, and I'm not even coming out as definite on it, but how the Most High relates to us, even as we were born in sin and unbelieving at some point in our lives. He enabled us when we didn't meet his expectation, even after coming to covenant, coming into salvation, covenant with him, and we don't meet his expectations on the daily, yet he still gives us grace to wake up in the morning, activity of our limbs, in our right mind, an opportunity to choose his way yet again. And that always inspires me when I feel like my expectations are not being met, not just in marriage, but in any relationship. If I can get the grace to choose righteously again, I should extend that grace as much as possible. And I'll just pass that on.
All right, thank you for that. That was the voice of Sister Dallas. We are still having this conversation. It is about the 10 o'clock hour, and we're speaking about top 5 reasons why relationships fail. And it's a very, very interesting conversation. We're going to go back to Brother Sal in 2 seconds. But I also wanted to make a comment on what Sister Dallas just said. There are, and we use a testimony for our edification and for our learning. There are many things that, like she said, is a natural preservation. And if we come to terms and grips of why we are here, because sometimes these are conversations I ponder. If we can come to terms and to grips that while we're here, then preserving yourself while you're here will be beneficial so that you can complete your mission. Point in case, and this is going to encapsulate the being absorbed by your mate, self-preservation, and everything. When we look at the case of Abigail, she was married to Nabal, who the Torah says was brutish man. He was a fool. Okay, when she heard that Dawid was a little bit disgruntled because, he ain't getting no severance pay, she went into self-preservation mode. And because she was not absorbed in Nabal's foolishness, she thought it wise. And the Torah tells you that she was an understanding woman. You understand? She went out to meet so that she can abate the anger of an individual who was going to do harm to her household. This And the Torah never says, oh, man, wicked Abigail, you know what I'm saying? She went against the Baal. She called him name. The Torah never tells us that. It says that she was a wise and understanding woman. So with all things, there's balance. With all things, there's balance because when we saw, and I'm going to go to Moshe and I'm going to go to one more. When we saw Moses continually praying for the wickedness, because, again, we're talking about relationships, praying for the wickedness, his brother told him, get up, man. He keeps praying Most High, and at some point you have to take action. Because sometimes we think that the Most High is going to jump down and do things for us, when the reality is it is on our behalf that we do these things. And Moshe had to make intercession. Him and Aharon had to make intercession when the plague was going to take out everybody. So these are the things that when we continue to, after you pray, then we have to hear a word. And if it's moved, then we have to move. One more case is in the case of the relationship between Abraham and his nephew Lot. There was a squabble. There was a beef. And Abraham is like, why would we be like this? You're my kin. So guess what? It is best that we do what? Preserve this relationship by separating. So we don't, like I said before early on, there's not a one-size-fits-all, but we have to use discernment and wisdom when we're talking about why relationships fail, what's happening in these relationships, whether it be, because it might just be a toxic relationship. So the reason it's failing is because it's toxic. You understand what I'm saying? And we have to assess our contribution to that toxicity. But then after you realize that, you're not going to keep going in like it's a toxic relationship, but I can't clean your part up. You know, and sometimes when I spoke about enabling, sometimes we enable because we overcompensate. It's like a child. If you overcompensate, I'm raising 4 children, anybody who know me, all day, every day. If you overcompensate for that individual, for that child as they're growing, you handicap them. So you meet them where they are, and you let them see what it is that they can do. Because sometimes, especially for a grown individual, you cannot catch them when they fall. You understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes that's what the Torah tells us about the stripes that come for a fool. Because after many reproofs, you shall be suddenly destroyed without remedy. And sometimes after we intercede in what the Creator is doing, then we also could get caught up into that. So I just wanted to say that because this is a very important conversation. I want to thank Sister Dallas for bringing out that point. But like I said, it's not a one-size-fits-all because we need to assess the situations that we're in to see whether or not what we're doing is our position or what we're doing is further exasperating the situation by not allowing the person to see you didn't go to the store, therefore there's no food. You understand what I'm saying? But if we keep going to the store and complaining about it sometimes, and I'm just using the store as an example with Sister Reva, who, fictitious character, I don't know a Sister Reva. But you understand, if we don't allow sometimes to be like, you didn't pay the bill, henceforth it is cut off. Because words fail. That's just my experience. You can talk and talk and talk, but reality is what it is. And when the person feels it, there's a thing who says, he who feels it knows it. And once he feels it, or she feels it, or they feel it, they say, man, you was right, that was hot. And then we can go from there. So sometimes we can be in the way of the Most High by trying to do beyond what it is that we are called to do. And that's not to say, be giving everybody dirty eyes, but again, to weigh the matter. But thank you for that again, Sister. Brother Sal, are you there? Brother Sal. But the Sal's not there. I think I'm hearing Sister Mayana wants to jump in. She wanted a little taste of the conversation. So while we're waiting on Brother Sal, not sure where he went, I'm going to go ahead and go to Sister Mayana. Sister Mayana, the mic is yours.
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of piggyback on your example of Abigail and give one more. I'm not clear if you brought up Zipporah in your explanation about Moshe or your example of Moshe. But first going back to Abigail, as you stated, Abigail did not meet Nabal where he was and say, okay, well, this is what my husband is doing, and so I'm not going to intercede and I'm going to let him conduct this situation the way he sees fit. Instead, she followed what was righteous and did what needed to be done. And I wanted to bring out what the scripture said. He said that, he pointed out that Abigail has never thought badly for making that move. but I want to have the scripture speak. And the scripture says that when David said to Abigail, not, woman, what are you doing here? Where's the man? He said, blessed be the Lord, G-O-D of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. So he didn't think, at no point did he say, oh, she's completely out of order. Why is she going contrary to her man? He saw the Most High in her. He gave honor and praise and glory to the Holy One of Israel for the actions of this woman. So we need to understand that the daughters of Israel have a purpose and they have a function. I spoke to that earlier when I said that what the intent of the woman was from her genesis, from her beginning, was to reflect that which is righteous back to her husband so that he can act righteously. That's what her job is. Abigail performed her duty, which is why she doesn't even spoke ill of. She's not pursuing her own will. And although this is a self-preservation move, it is not a selfish move. She's doing what is right. And what our job is as women is to do what is right. And we are supposed, I believe it was Brother Walt that said that a wise woman builds up her household. Abigail is protecting her home right now. As an example that Emunah provided previously about driving with her husband, that she's in the passenger seat. He is the one at the wheel, but if there ever becomes a time that he is sleeping, she knows how to drive. That's her job. That's your job. That's my job. That's our job as women. To sit back and say, okay, well, he's just having a bad day. We can't say anything to him. It is because he's the king of the house. He can't be, we can't have any discussions with him. We don't even see that. I spoke before about the account of Hadassah, which is recorded under the English title of Esther. And we are told that Esther does not sit idly by while her husband makes all of these decisions. He's being influenced. We see that this guy has really no sense of leadership. He's being tossed to and fro by the opinions of his advisors. And Esther doesn't say, okay, well, there's something I can do about it. That's the king. He's my husband. There's something I can do. He's literally a king. And he's a foreign king of a foreign land at that. Her people are captives. And what she doesn't do is let him be where he's at. What she does is she finds ways to talk to him. She seeks an audience with him. Sometimes at the peril of her own life. She talks to him when she's not supposed to. And she chances that because her people are in danger. Her people, we're going to see the idea of not pursuing our own will that's correct. Every time Sister Dallas says that, she's absolutely correct. But Torah has for us, Torah itself says it's called Torah, and Torah means instruction. So the Most High has not left us to blow to and fro in the wind, where we have no direction and we have to leave it up to chance. We have instructions. The Most High told us what to do. And by not doing, we talked earlier about being unevenly yoked, and we made sure that we explained to the listening audience that this is not an abstract idea. A yoke is a physical thing. As Israelites, we have an understanding of yoke because we're agricultural people. When things are yoked together, work is to be done. And having someone be, or having beasts of burdens be unevenly yoked means that work won't get done. That's why you don't want to be unevenly yoked, because work won't get done. Now, we are going to have to deal with the fact that the caller that asked about when can we get together, when can we go out and build a nation the way we were supposed to. That's what happens when all of us decide to do the work. Like Sister Emunah said before, make the plans, do the work, be truly invested in one another. We're not there, and that's why things aren't getting done. I asked her if she did before. I didn't get feedback from her yet, but with Moshe, we see again where Moshe has this mission that he has to accomplish, and he's actually halted on his way to perform that mission because his son isn't circumcised, and it's not him that understands why the angel of the Most High is going to deal with him. It's his wife that steps in and does what needs to be done. We have to understand that we have a function. And it's not to say that we are overpowering our husband or usurping their authority. We're protecting what our husbands are building. We are protecting the home that we are building together. This goes back to the idea of being in the heart. If we understand that we are not competitors, that we are on the same team with the same goal to accomplish the same mission, then the contributions of everybody on that team is not seen as a usurping of anything. It's considered an assist, an aid, a preservation. That's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. And I said it before, but I'll say it again. If your husband is the only one out there, you leave him out there by himself, he's alone. He's alone. And when you go into Genesis, the first time in all of creation, when the Most High looks back on what he has done, the very first time he laments that something is not good, it's when he finds that his son is alone. And he doesn't create the brotherhood for him. He doesn't create a dog. Dog's not his best friend. It was you. It was you. And the moment that you women do not step up and you leave him by himself, you have failed. You have failed in your purpose. You have failed in your creation. You are wrong. And with that, the floor is yours.
Uh-oh. I got my hand up on the soapbox. I want to thank you for that, Mayana. Yeah, Brother Sal. Brother Sal is back. Thank you again, Sister Mayana. Brother Sal, the mic is yours.
Yeah, I had some technical difficulties. I was trying to get in. I heard you guys, but, a blog talk, I guess. One of the blog talk issues. But we got some more people standing by. Again, this is your time. We have like 16 minutes on the air. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to call in. You know that number is 646-716-7320. This press number 1 will add you in the conversation. And I gotta get to you. I gotta get to these email questions. I'm gonna get to you guys, but let's go to the call. Let's go to 586-277. You're live in the air.
Shalom to everyone on the panel.
Hello.
Shalom. This is Ahava Emunah. Hi, sisters and Brother Sal. I just wanted to, me and you guys said so much between Emunah and Mayana. I just didn't even know where to pick up that, but I think I'll just go along with the thing about the story about Abigail and Nabal. And I agree with what both sisters said. I think that it pretty much would go back to a lack of communication within the household between the husband and the wife, because a lot of times I think that when the wife has to pick up in a certain area, I think that sometimes it could be misunderstood. It could be misperceived by the husband, and at times I think that our men feel threatened. I won't say necessarily by the wife, but I think that it's just a conditioning of the minds of our people, that we have been conditioned for so long that it kind of just takes that turn. And so I'll still chop that up to a lack of communication. I think that a lot of times, even I think some brothers would prefer to be able to do different things within a household, within their family. And then when they have to look to their wives to do it, then it is kind of like a ego buster, if I may say. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say about that. But I was just looking at the different points that Mayana posted earlier this afternoon, and I just, as I was looking through and reflecting, I just see that everything basically does lead back to a lack of communication, whether it be a differential in relationship goals or being unequally yoked, different financial goals, whether it be the different gender goals, the couple not being able to agree on what's expected from one another. I don't think that there could actually ever be like a boundary on what I'm supposed to do and what you're supposed to do, because at times I can be weak as the wife and I may need you to step in an area, and then vice versa. So I guess my question would be, how would you go about implementing how would you go about implementing a change if that boundary, how would you go about implementing a change if that boundary should happen to come within a relationship where you don't necessarily know that something is expected of you, but you're the only one in a position to do it?
That's a good question. Thank you so much for that question. As you were speaking, and this is Emunah, by the way, what came to my mind is a few things. First, when we read in the book of Tobit, as it spoke about what happened to him, the bird, the dung muted in his eye and temporarily blinded him, he was in a position where he worked. And like you said, there's something that arose that his wife had to look for, quote, woman's work. So this wasn't the natural setup, but then things happen. And then this is where the flexibility comes in. This is where the understanding comes in. If something just happened to the husband or something just happened to the wife or the situation arises, this is where, the primary roles, and then there is where there is a level of flexibility. I'll give a little bit what I experienced growing up. I come from a culture where men cook. It's not abnormal. The Caribbean men and women, boys and girls, grow up learning to cook. Not only do they cook, they know how to iron their clothes, they know how to clean house. This is so my parents and a lot of people that I know from this Caribbean culture, that's not abnormal. So I grew up seeing my grandfather, he doesn't cook, but he cleans. Some people would say, well, that's domestic work. He had a job, he worked, but the man loved cleaning. The man wouldn't stop cleaning until he old and gray, most high rest of his soul now. The man just loved cleaning. And my grandmother allowed him that because there's some places where personality, but because he doesn't cook, she always made sure his meals were there. And so that is like the relationship. You have to look at the people that, because you may have a man who's a chef. You may have I have a brother. He loves to cook. Mm-hmm. And so his fiance is like, well, that's what's up. You understand what I'm saying? I got a man who loves to cook, and this is what he likes to do. And this is kind of where culture and tradition kind of blends. If we look into the Torah, Yaakov was cooking. So, he was over there making his lentil stew. Mm-hmm. And his brother came and said, give me some of that food you was cooking. Same it is when his father, Esau, knew how to cook. Because Isaac said, hey, Esau, get me some of that tender meat. You know how I like it, season it real good, and come bring it to me. So the expectation sometimes when we're in this Western world, as many people like to say, and the culture has changed, and then we have these hard lines to say, man, wash dishes. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm a woman and I absolutely cannot work. These are the things, like you're saying, it has to be communicated because situations may arise where she just gives birth, she can't be walking around. And you might need to know how to do something so that she can eat and you guys can eat and everybody will be okay. So once again, that's just my thoughts on that conversation, that's where communication really comes in, and those hard line roles that are unbending could really cause for a breakdown within the relationship when we're not really looking at the reality. Let me just say that. But, at that point, I relinquish the mic.
And thank you for that, Emunah. That's kind of what I was looking for. I think that more so that there's like a kind of, although, we're learning of our culture and, we're trying to implement things into our lives at this time that align with the words and instructions of the Most High. I think that there's a lot of westernized thinking that's going on in a lot of relationships, and that's where the breakup comes in. If I may just say one more thing, it was concerning something that Sister Dallas said, and I think it was pertaining to, I'm not going to try and paraphrase her, but it was pretty much, I think that's where the love of the Messiah comes in, that where you lay down your lives for one another. If cooking needs to be done, then okay, cooking needs to be done. If the wife is not able to do it, then I don't understand why the husband shouldn't be able to do it. If the husband is in a position as to where he can't go out and work and the wife is able to go out and work, then I think that, there should be balance in the household. But I think that's the thing that has to be established within that family, within that household. And again, I would chop it up to a lack of communication, and I would also chop it up to a westernized thinking. Thank you.
Absolutely, and if I can just put an end cap on that, for women who want to communicate with their men, maybe there's a physical issue, but maybe there's not a physical issue. Maybe there's a mental block. For one reason or another, why he's not functioning in that provider role. But just something that the caller said that is so true. It's an ego buster. I like the way she said that, so I took it down on one of my notes. When the woman is doing that, even if it's a completely legit reason, he had an injury and now he cannot physically do what he was doing to provide, and she's filled up that slack, it's still a blow to his ego. And sometimes men can be so discouraged that they don't want to try, especially if they feel like they can't ever please their wives. Some women, and myself included, I have to deal with this one from my own personality. It's never good enough. Nothing's ever good enough. Even things I do to myself are not good enough. So not only do I judge myself that harshly, I judge people around me that harshly. And it's very detrimental in marriage. A man can feel like, well, if I can't please her, why should I even be trying? So, of course, that makes her more upset because he's not moving, and the cycle just goes around and around. Sometimes men are ashamed to tell why, why they're hurting or why it is they're not trying, or sometimes they don't even understand themselves. They don't know why. They don't know why. It's just frustrating, and they don't know why. Just being that person that's showing that honor and giving respect, just general, basic, common respect and kindness. They unlock things. The chaste conversation and chaste behavior of a wife can win over the unbelieving or the unrepentant or the in rebellion spouse. And those things unlock opportunities that anger and confrontation, manipulation just won't. So just an encouragement to anyone in that situation to walk in kindness, not in fear, not in silence either, but not in anger, if that makes sense.
Can I say something? This is Brother Gerald. From my own personal experience, I've been what I would consider to be almost the prototypical husband. I mean, I have insisted on my wife not work in terms of working outside of the home, and I really wanted her to focus all of her energies on developing my two sons. And in the course of their growing up, my oldest son is 22, soon to be 23, and my youngest is 20, soon to be 21. And both of them unanimously have an attitude of, marriage is not something that they would even contemplate in doing because, I had a chance to talk to my oldest son. He says, there's really nothing in it for a man. The man works all the time, and the woman is free to do whatever she wants. There's nothing in it for me. And when I actually walked away and contemplated what he was saying, he was actually talking about me. Now, I do work a lot, but I also play hard, and, I have indulged my family. We've traveled around the world. We've seen a lot of wonderful things. And despite all of these wonderful blessings and all of these things that I've bestowed, I seem to be at a loss to satisfy. It's like it's never enough. So I would caution to say that it's the man's low self-esteem or his inability to satisfy the woman. I would say the woman needs to really consider and reflect in her own mind, is there something lacking in my thinking to where I just can't be satisfied with what I have and really appreciate it? Because Paul talked about, whether he was in prison or whether he was, at a party having the greatest time with his friends, he was always grateful and appreciative, that God was with him. And women will always look at this subordinate position of being a help to the man as being something of dishonor. But if you read the Psalms, David wrote so many Psalms where he related and used the same word that God used in Genesis to describe the type of help that God gave him in all of his times of trouble. So to be a help meet, to be a help suitable for man, God is honoring the woman with the positioning of a role that he once enjoyed with Adam in that garden. He bestowed that to the woman. So too, the woman has to consider, how can I be a help to this man in the trouble that he's going through? It was just like this morning. I just give you one little case scenario. Simple case this morning. I'm walking out the door, and my wife walks up to me, and she stops because I'm looking at her, but I have almost like a blank stare on my face because I'm contemplating some things that are going to go on for business. So I'm waiting for her to do something, and she approaches me. She's raising her arms up like she was going to give me a hug, but she didn't. And then she walks away. I said, well, I'm on my way out the door. And then I said, well, hold up a second. It appeared you wanted to give me a hug. What made you stop? Well, you had this look on your face like, I said, but what does that look on my face have to do with what you desire to do? Why don't you go ahead and do what you desire to do in this regard? Because this would be something that I would be like loving and wanting. Oh, I'm getting a good start to the day. My wife is giving me a hug and a kiss. Wonderful. So she came back and did that. So I would say sometimes we sometimes think that our husbands are enemies because maybe they have this look on their face, or maybe they're just not doing what I want my man to do. But if you understand your role in the relationship, you're to be a help to him. So you're to enable him. When we talked about enabling, I can't really think of any circumstance in marriage where I would not want my wife to enable me. I can't think of any situation. So to use that term pejoratively in the estate of marriage, I take issue with that. And I know when we use that term in sociology and psychology, we're dealing with relationships that are detrimental to both parties. But I can't see any situation where if my wife is seeking to enable me to accomplish something that she would, I can't do that. No, that's your job. You're to enable me to be more effective at being a husband, being more effective at being a provider, and being more effective at being a leader in the community. And to me, that's the goal. We should, like somebody was saying earlier, we should provoke people to jealousy. Many of my clients, I'm looking to them, man, how is it that you and your wife run this business? Like I have a client whose husband and wife, they run a management company, and they're Jewish. And he has the big office where it's enclosed, and she has this smaller office where she shares a room with 3 other employees. But they run a multi-million-dollar firm managing properties for other people. And so I'm talking to these people, and, I can't even work for them anymore because I mismanaged the contract that they had. I got the job done, but I said, man, it sure would have been nice if my wife could have helped me on this. And so I see, and I get frustrated when I don't see my wife seeing the obvious benefits to working. Because when I talk to this Jewish man, he says, man, I would not be anywhere where I'm at without her facilitating and enabling me to get to building this business where it is. And I said, and then he says, what does your wife do? Oh, my wife's a nurse. And he said, oh, really? So this is something we need to contemplate as individuals, that maybe we need to stop projecting and reading the mind of the other person when we need to really put in work. Because to me, everybody tells me what I'm supposed to be doing, and when I ask them, well, what role do you play in this marriage? They're at a loss to tell me. My wife is at a loss to tell me what her role is. But she can tell me to the T. When you go to work, you pay the bills, you pay the rent, the mortgage, and you make sure all of these bills get paid. I said, well, what happens with your check? Well, I'm going to use that to get my hair done, my nails done, dress up my car, make plans to go on a trip. And to me, I say that's fine, because to me, God says that it's my responsibility to be the leader and to be the provider, just as he provides the strength for me to go out and do these things. And with that, I yield.
All right. So this is Maya. I would like to go ahead and say a couple of things. Is that cool, Emunah?
All right, cool. Come, she.
All right. So one of the things that Brother Jarrell submitted was that he cannot think of a way that enabling a man could be a negative thing. Contextually, when we used that term, we were talking about a man who was not providing, who wanted to idle about the house, who wanted to play Xbox, who wanted to not to fulfill or step into his role. And enabling that perspective is what we were discussing. We were not talking about enabling a man on his way out to work. We were not talking about encouraging a man who was pursuing means to provide a livelihood for his family. We were talking about someone who had done the opposite, and that it's not our responsibility to enable that type of mentality. You also gave a very good example, and I thank you for providing it, that when you were leaving for work, because of whatever was going on in your mind, your face produced an error or provided an environment that halted your wife from expressing something that she intended to do. But what you did is what was key. You asked her what stopped her. That is what we've been discussing. Communication. She doesn't know what you're thinking. She knows what you look like. And it wasn't until you communicated to her, what was going on. I would love for you to do that she was able to say, okay, so I misread that. But it wasn't because she read your mind. It's because you expressed to her that there was a need there, that she misinterpreted something, and that was corrected. It's exactly what we've been talking about. There are points where the expectations that we have of ourselves are unrealistic and unfair. She doesn't know what you need until you say it. Women also are very guilty of that. Women, well, he's supposed to know. No, he's not. No, he's not supposed to know. Doesn't matter if he has been with you for 20 years or 20 days. He's not supposed to read your mind. You are supposed to say to him, this is what we need. This is what I need. This is where I'm hurting. This is, and discuss these things. I've had communications with women, and I'm going to share this. There are women who say things like, my husband doesn't pay attention to me. My husband doesn't show me that he cares about me. And to that, I asked them to think about what they are saying. What is it that they are expecting in order to feel love? And what are they looking for in order to see that appreciation? And if they're looking for flowers, if they're looking for candy, if they're looking for him to wash her hair and paint her toes, then no, maybe you don't see it. But if he, without you asking, has checked your car to make sure that it's running, if he has gone under the hood, if he has fixed the wheels on your tire, if the kitchen sink is working, if he has done all of these things to make sure that you are taken care of in these other spaces, he has been thinking about you. And thinking about you is the definition of being thoughtful. Of course he paid attention. He saw that you have to go to work every day and you might not be safe. So he checked your car. Appreciate that. He has expressed love to you. We don't always appreciate these expressions the way they come because we are looking for it to look a certain way. We want it packaged a certain way. And that becomes problematic. And these are one of the things that we have to pay careful attention to. We cannot say that we want things in a particular way and then say it's not available and it hasn't been expressed. And you have to talk to each other, and so they understand what expressions are being made, so you can appreciate them when they are being made. So I'm going to yield the floor to anyone else, but I wanted to interject that because there were things that were being said that were very important and very, very correct. And I think he made a lot of interesting and helpful points that I think that speak to some of the concerns and some of the issues that are in the family dynamic. And that issue of understanding each other's position and each other's role. Oh, that's what he said, help. The word help that we find in Genesis is that word ezer, and it means to save and to rescue. It doesn't mean to serve and to aid. It means to save and to rescue. That's the relationship. We talk about the relationship that the Most High had with Adam and the way that David is communicating with the Most High. If you understand your woman in that regard, but the problem is men don't feel like they need to be saved, and they don't consider their wife a rescue. They consider her their handmaiden. She's only here to supplement my greatness. And they don't understand that they're not always great. I'm not finished. They don't understand that they're not always great. And that there is a space and a time and a purpose where their woman is supposed to intercede and even rescue in that regard. So I know that we're going to move on to other things. Should we do the poll, Emunah?
Yeah, I'm going to touch that poll in a second, but I also wanted to make a comment real quick. I believe our sister Ahava, who called in, she went through the poll when she was stating what you put up on social media earlier, but definitely we could recap on the poll. But I just wanted to say, as it related to what Brother Gerald said, as well as what Sister Mayana said, is that a few things. Sister Mayana touched on some points, and like she said, Brother Gerald, that conversation that you just shared is kind of how, you can turn a situation around. Okay, one thing is, let me see where I want to start. Body language, okay, is a greater percentage of our communication than verbal communication is. This is what, the tests, the statistics say. And so understanding women is understanding their function. A woman is naturally intuitive. The cleaner the vessel or the mind or the thought is, the more in tune they are. But however it may be, she is naturally intuitive. So, yes, she can pick up on vibrations. Our thoughts make vibrations. Our thoughts put out energy into the atmosphere. And whether or not they are pointed at your wife or that individual, if there is an uncertainty in the relationship, if there is a hesitance to be able to reach out, this is why you saw that drawback. Like, nothing didn't just happen just because. You understand? So I think, like Sister Mayana said, it's a beautiful example, but to also understand the function of a woman is to be intuitive. Not everything needs to be said. We see, and I'm going to put Genesis conversation in there. In the case of Cain and Abel, one of the first things that the Most High said to Cain is, why has your countenance fallen? It was an observation of body language. And through this observation of body language, the question was asked. Now, in your situation, she saw your countenance was not inviting, and so she retreated. And you, like Sister Mayana said, you did the right thing by saying, hey, well, you look like you was going to do something. It's just like somebody approaching you, but you look like you're not having a good day. And depending on whether or not that person wants to have that experience or not, they will say, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to walk away, or maybe I'll come back. You don't look like you're having a good day. So I just wanted to say that concerning that is that when we don't necessarily have to pit the way we perceive reality, male against female, because oftentimes the man is singular in his vision. He's determined will in his vision. He's straight like an arrow. I'm thinking about this. I wasn't even thinking about you. I wasn't even, and the woman, because she can multitask, not for a generality, but most of the time, because that's her function. She has to handle the house, she has to handle the children, she has to handle this, that. So her attention could be split like that. And this is what sometimes as women, because that's how we relate with our reality, we are like, nah, this dude is lying. You mean to tell me, this is where the inquisition comes from. Come on, you're lying. You mean to tell me that you, and he's seriously sitting there like, no, because I don't think like you do. And it's coming to that communication and accepting the fact that we don't think masculine and feminine don't relate to their reality in the same way, and we need to discover this more. Because this is oftentimes the source of arguments and contention, these assumptions that we make. And like you said, it was a good conversation to bring that out, and I want to thank you for sharing that as well. Much can be said, but I'm going to go to Sal right now and see if Sal is still there, because I know we had some more questions and comments, Brother Jarrell, so just hold for me 1 second.
Yeah, I'll hold on. No problem.
Yeah, I'm going to stand by. Go ahead, Jarrell. I'll get your words out now.
Thank you. Well, Sister Mayana, I have to, hit you upside your head one more time. I'm going to be in a little disagreement. That to be someone who's like a rescuer and a savior is likened unto a firefighter. And, as I told you before, I used to be a fireman, and they considered us to be public servants as well. And I looked at being a firefighter and doing the operations of rescuing and fighting fires as an honorable profession. So even to use that word to describe a woman and her function at home, I think is an honorable thing to do. And I don't see any problem with enabling her husband to, if, say, for example, he worked a job and now he's on unemployment and he's at home and he's kind of stuck in this mode of playing video games and things like this. It's one thing to approach him in a somewhat antagonistic way, but it's another thing to approach him in a way that is encouraging. It's kind of like what you say. It's not so much what you say sometimes, it's how you say it. So I would say that in the particular case that we're talking about, where I can't even imagine a woman getting involved with a man that has this propensity to get in a mode where he's just stuck playing video games all day long, and she's following the Torah, or even being around a man who is following God's word. To me, I could see a man who's working a job coming to that kind of situation. But even in that situation, she could be something to really motivate him to get himself together. Like, if he's in this game and this football game's on, she could say, hey, babe, when you finish playing, when you finish with this round, can we talk? I'd like to talk to you. And maybe she can be encouraging him, if you've been unemployed. Hey, baby, what are we going to do to get back on track? Because this unemployment is nothing compared to what you were earning out there at the job. What are we going to do? So
okay, see, what's
that's the way.
Okay, see, the idea that you're going to, and I think that it was admirable to try to hit me upside the head as you stated. But the problem with that is that, in your you have a quiet moment to yourself, you can go ahead and replay the recording.
I would.
I stated very clearly that in the instance where there's a man who's sitting around playing Xbox or doing other things that are unproductive, rather than going to him and doing any type of nagging or diminishing him or demeaning him in any way, what you could do is say, sweetheart, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to get things back on track, baby? This is not the best for us. This is not how you were before. Let's look into other things. That's exactly what I said to do. I did not say anything to the contrary. Now, to your point, so again, you don't actually disagree with me. The other thing you stated about you can't imagine, I can understand that you can't imagine it, but however, I'm in the trenches. I deal with sisters all of the time, and a lot of them are dealing with exactly that. So although you can't imagine it, it's a reality that I'm confronted with because my sisters bring it to me all of the time, straight through the night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, midnight, all day long. There's always a... So we have to be very careful not to judge reality by our frame of reference. My frame of reference is different from yours, so I'm able to say to you that this is the reality of many of our sisters, and it's unfortunate and it's unfair, and in some cases it is preventable. It's correct to say that. In some cases it's preventable, but in other cases, women are making decisions based on disinformation, not even misinformation, but just disinformation. So when I say it, I'm not talking.
And I would say that for the most part, most of these, and what I'm saying is I can't imagine
in terms of, having this foundation of the Old Testament and then, the cherry on top of the New Testament. In my understanding, I can imagine what you're talking about because I interact with men as well as women, and most of the men that I interact with, we are productive. We're working, and the funny thing about the women that we're interacting with, these are women that go to church on Sunday, and they're looking to wreck the marriage, get custody of the kids, and ultimately divvy up the man's money-making abilities in terms of getting alimony and child support. But the whole thing that I would say for the woman that's dealing with the man that is in that circumstance, I would say that there's a certain amount of responsibility and accountability that you have to confront them with. Because to me, I think, we want to recognize, and we've been trained, and even God tells us that the woman is the weaker vessel. She's to be placed in a position of high esteem and honor. But today the feminist movement just has done away with that, and we have women competing to be as good as men. And I'm saying, if you're as good as men, you're diminishing the strength and power of the man. If you are as good as a woman can be, then that's good, and that should be good enough. You should not have to go outside of femininity and being a woman to try to usurp authority and leadership, or to even get to a point of trying to compare yourself to a man. So to me, this is what I see.
Why we said that earlier. I specifically stated that we're not talking about usurping anyone's authority. I specifically stated that. Furthermore, we are typically dealing with, particularly in this arena, in this environment, with Hebraic women. This idea of feminism is, first of all, I think that Emunah, myself, and most of the women, and I think every woman in my cycle, completely disavow everything about feminism. We find feminism to be the most counterproductive, counterintuitive, and countercultural development in recent times.
Right.
So this is not something that but you have to let me finish. We do not believe that this is something that is beneficial to us as women. I mean, we have done articles, posts, we have held classes on making sure that the reclaiming, the restoration, and the rebuilding of Hebraic femininity is pushed to the forefront, because it is that is going to be the redeeming qualities of our women. We have by no means endorse, encourage, or recommend the aspects of feminism as they have been presented or represented in modernity. In fact, Emunah and I have taking it to the airwaves in our own segment and addressed and disavowed publicly for hours, about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, the effect of feminism and why it has been detrimental, misunderstood, and misapplied by black women specifically. So I want to make that clear, because I feel like whenever there's too much discussion about women playing productive roles in relationships, in communities, and in the nation, men, not necessarily you, and I'm not saying you're doing that now, but men would like to go and repackage that and say, oh, we're being feminist. So there's a difference between acknowledging the truth about how women are represented in our culture and in our historical record and in this truth, from the idea of feminism. That is not to say we're not promoting feminism. We are promoting the truthful accounting of the contributions of women in our cultural narrative. Those things cannot be suppressed. If you want us to be these abstract notions of humble and submissive and contributing, then you have to allow us to emulate those examples as they appear in Scripture. You cannot give us these concepts and give us no one to emulate. These women had to have existed. Who are we copying? Who are we following? If you have no women who exhibit any types of strength, you have no women who have any type of wisdom, you have no women who are productively encouraging and providing for the community, then how are we supposed to do it? If you say every time we try to be productive, you call us feminist, we won't get anything done. You cannot be alone. You were not meant to be alone, and you cannot insist on this position of being alone. You and I have had plenty of conversations. You know very well that I am not a feminist. You know very well that I support
I know.
providing what they are supposed to do for their husbands. I want that to be clear, not for you, because I know you and I have the understanding, but for the listening audience, lest they misunderstand that neither myself, nor Emunah, nor any of the women that I associate with, by any means, want to usurp the position of the men. The men need to assume their position, but by us having standards, by us having expectations, that is proof that we haven't given up on you. It is proof that we still believe in you. It is proof that we believe that you can assume the position that you once held, and we had your back. That's what we're doing. Every time we have expectations, we're telling you we have your back. But every time we sit back and we let you fail, that's when we gave up on you. The problem is that we have given up on each other. And that is something that we have to stop doing. Stop asking us to give up on you.
Okay, I'm not asking you to give up on me.
I
would just say,
that was personal. That was you, the general. But
no.
Okay, I'll use. But I know we want to know.
Right, but what I'm hearing in from the beginning up to this point is a failure of the woman to truly give up her identity, because to me, everybody that God dealt with, he was giving men new names. He called Abraham, after he made this covenant with him. He called Jacob Israel, and he who names owns. So when I think in the Apocrypha it talks about when a man takes on a wife, he gains a possession, and a possession is something that belongs to you. And if it belongs to you, you have control of it, and you have a responsibility. And this is the thing that men, they don't want to. They want to have the control, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with taking care of something as precious as a woman. But the woman also has to understand that her role is to be a possession, to be under, to be covered by this man. And I'll give you an example, and you can chew on this one, and then I'll yield after this, because it's a real simple example. My sister was married to a man who he made a lot of money, even though he was retired from the military. So he was receiving military benefits, and he didn't have to work. So he's demanding that his wife, my sister, would give him her check. Now, she's making a whole lot of money, but she just wasn't making quite as much as he was bringing in on his retirement. He gets sick of it, and he packs up, and he moves down to San Diego. And my sister's getting mad. I know if I give him this money, he's going to do. I said, well, did you ever give him the check? No, I didn't give him the check one time. I said, well, maybe the reason why there's so much turmoil in your house is that you fear that this man that is your husband is going to do something detrimental to the money that you're bringing in. Well, maybe this was the test that God gave for you to see if, in fact, your husband could rise to the occasion of being a true leader, seeing that you trusted him. So we can't just necessarily look for good circumstances to dictate whether we support our husband in their endeavor, or if the outcome that results from his decision-making is going to be something that shakes my love and my trust in my husband. Maybe to go through this adversity is something that my Lord and Savior wants me to endure so that I can really, truly trust my husband. And maybe I can counsel him after the fact in love, and not basically say, man, I told you not to do that. Now, look at you to collect off the money. See, these are exercises that God asks us to go through, and God says that, for we know that all things, how does it go? That all things work together for good to those that love the Lord, to those who are called according to his purpose. So is financial prosperity going to work to your good when ultimately, you and your husband end up getting divorced, or is this turmoil going to really
make you guys, man, I remember when we didn't have no money and we making biscuits with bread and water, with flour and water. See, we remember those periods of adversity lovingly once we get through them to the other side, just as those people in the 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, when they got to the promised land, there was only a few people that were excited to be there. So to me, that's the attitude that we should contemplate. Is what I'm going through a test of my obedience to the trust that God is trying to instill in me, or is it something that Satan's going to say, does this woman love this man for nothing? He's prospering, Jesus. That's why this woman is following this man. And so God says, well, go ahead. I'll drop the heads down long enough for you to bust up this business deal for him, and we'll see what the woman does. Is she going to be like Job's wife? God, curse God and die, And the man, Job, shut up, foolish woman. She was a foolish woman. So that's the blessing. And I'm done.
Before we go to Shiloh, we got to check on Sister Dallas. She might be over there. We're going to check on you. But, Brother Jarrell, I don't know why you keep coming around to this possession thing. As you said that, and oftentimes this is used and quoted in the Apocrypha. I haven't. I'm not sure if any of the listeners have been able to go into the original language and take a look at what that is. Because as we speak about that in the terms of possession, you possess a bond servant. Yeah, you possess. Yeah. To possess another person. That means that they are not on your quote level.
That's
they are
right.
lower than, right?
Amen. Amen.
But check it out though, Jarrell. I'm not. Hold on, don't give me no high fives yet. Hold up. When we use this kind of thought process, and when we look at saying I own my child, when in reality the Most High has bestowed this child in your care for a time. And so when we go around, possess everybody, and yet still we don't possess ourselves. We don't rule our own spirit. We don't govern our own selves. And so we look to exercise this level of control on others because we lack it within ourselves. When you're in a relationship, in the sense of, yes, this is your wife, so therefore no one should trespass, that is understandable. But to think can really possess another soul, another being, another entity. This is what the whole let me free is about. This is the whole punishment. Well, hold on, brother, 1 second.
All right.
When you
get it out, because I got a rebuttal for you.
I know you do. But when you keep speaking about being absorbed, the name that when you reference Abraham's name, Abraham was elevated. Okay. The root of his name did not change. He just got elevated. Sarah name also was changed, and it was elevated, and she received the hay. Yisrael, Yaakov name was changed because of the action. But when a woman, if you look in the Torah, and even a child, they are usually classified as such and such, the son of such and such, or such and such, the wife of such and such. And that last name is a covering. It does not change your principle. That initial principle that you were given at birth, whatever vibration your parents put on you, the man doesn't say, hey, like the slave master, what's your name? Kunta, nah. I'm going to call you Toby. You don't go into the individual's house and he's like, what's your name? Nah, I don't like that. Now your name is Tamar. I'm changing your whole vibration. That is somebody who possesses an individual. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That sounds like straight up so slavery stuff. Instead of saying, listen, because understand that names carry energy. And this individual, this name would have been pronounced over them hundreds of thousands of times from the time they were born. And for you to expect that once, because they're under your covering, all of a sudden, they're not going to be them anymore, that is not realistic. And this is what we're talking about. Communication.
It is.
Wait, hold on, brother. This is what I'm saying.
I'm going to give you Torah for it, too. And I'm going to give you New Testament as well.
I know you will.
Let me know when you're done. Get it out. Let me know when you're done.
Let us finish. What I'm saying to you is this. I have 4 children. They each have names.
That's right.
But I'm talking about, because we talk about Torah, but with all you get understanding. And if we go about life trying to do things that always have been done and get bad results, and we do it, expect to get bad results. And so when we see what was left for us in the testimonies, some things were good, Some things were bad. Some things we don't know how it turned out. Now, if you have a child and that child, say, for instance, is an apple tree, but you're going to force that individual to be an orange, you're going to have a problem. So wisdom is going to dictate that you observe what is before you try to force or superimpose your will on that individual if you want a better life. So in the sense of a wife, if you keep badgering the individual, I'm over you, I'm going to do, that's not going to win it. That's even in an employer situation. If you go in there and you don't respect those people as individuals, you don't respect who they are, you understand, and you just superimpose and I'm going to force you to do what I want to do, you're not going to get a good response. And so I keep hearing you saying, you lose your identity and you just do what I say do. That's like the individual who tries to force their child to be a doctor. The child doesn't want to be a doctor. Actually, the child is terrible at it. And so this is where wisdom, was what I'm saying, comes in, that we are observing what the Creator has put in our presence and what is the best way that we can bring forth what you were created to do. What is the best way that we can cultivate our relationships? Like Sister Mayana said, we are not the same people, but what is the best way that we can bring out the best in each other? Because if we keep looking at each other in this way, this is where you're going to get disgruntled, resentful, indignant, hated, harboring, all of these things. This is the kind of relationship you're going to build because of our mentality one to another. And I'll leave it at this. When you're growing that child and the mother is present and the father is present, you observe the movements of the child, the temperament of the child. Okay, this needs tempering right here. The child is on the potter's wheel. But you're not going to make a child who is a little bit reserved and an introvert, all of a sudden you're going to force them to be out there. And I just wanted to say that because I don't know, it just keeps, rubbing me a little bit the wrong way because like I said, if we go, and a lot of people like to say, if you just go with the letter of the law, quote, I'm quoting, and without the spirit of discernment and understanding, then you're going to make your life more difficult. The Creator wants us to serve Him in spirit and in truth. If the Most High has to force you to serve Him, then the Most High said, because you didn't delight in my Shabbat. It wasn't a delight for you. So therefore, it has to be delightful. It has to be something that exudes through your spirit. It has to be something that you want.
Right.
And when
we gotta
bring Sister Dallas.
Oh yeah,
go ahead, Sister Dallas.
She's been quiet for a while. So go ahead, Sister Dallas. Anything you want to say? Go ahead.
Y'all been chopping it up for real. All I will say is I definitely understand where both sides are coming from with this. I understand as a woman why hearing the words property or possession makes you automatically feel devalued, and I completely understand that. I have the same gut reaction that you had, Emunah, so I get it. On the other end, some of the things that Brother Jarrell was saying, I understand that as well. And what kind of makes it work for me is understanding the biblical principle of either being a slave to sin or a bondservant of Christ. We are not our own, no matter how much we think we are, how much we feel like we are. We're not our own. So in every action we take, we're showing who's the master, either sin or Christ in our choices. So if it wasn't too bad for the people in the Bible to be considered a servant in a spiritual sense, it might not be so bad for me. But again, I'm still growing in that area. And I'll leave it at that.
Boy, Sister Dallas, you cut my whole rebuttal in half. You knocked out two other things that I was going to hit up in the New Testament, where Paul calls himself a bondservant of Christ. Jesus said, Paul says, your body is not yours, you are bought with a price. And he always kind of opened up a lot of his epistles with bondservants, that he's a slave to Christ. But the distinctive portion of being a bondservant to Christ is that we're no longer slaves to sin, but we're now considered to be sons of the Most High, which means we have the benefit of receiving an inheritance by virtue of the adoption. So going back to the Old Testament, we see that when Moses was talking to God in the form of the burning bush, he says, I've heard the cry of my people that are under the hard bondage of Pharaoh. I want you to go down to Pharaoh and tell him, let my people go so not to just be free, but that they can be free to come and serve me. And we can see even prior to that God says that I shall have obedience rather than sacrifice. Being a woman, I can see how you would kind of, it would kind of put, goosebumps on the back of your neck when someone talks about being a possession. But God has made you a peculiar possession that's going to ultimately, hopefully, draw the world if you do it and do it the way He commands you to do it. But if you let the world infiltrate your thinking to think that, I'm losing so much in my identity in getting married, the thing is you lose your name. You lost your name. Your name was whatever before you got married. Now it's Mrs. So-and-so. You're gaining your husband's name. But the thing is, you have to lose in order to gain. What did Jesus say? The seed must die to itself in order to become that which it was created to become. The tree, where the tree provides a nest for the birds and all these wonderful things. So you're so busy paying attention to what you're losing that you're not really getting excited about the death and resurrection of these things that God has promised to give you, because we serve a God that is a God of gift giving and blessing. He's not going to discourage you. We are fallen, but we are not frustrated to where we can't get up and give Him glory. And so I tell you, like I said earlier, I rejoice in having been made a man, but it's a heavy burden when I see that God has placed this responsibility of this family on me. And when I see those under me not doing things that are in keeping with what God has commanded me to do, it troubles me to the point where I say to myself, when I go to hell, or when I go to be judged, God said it's a mystery how two become one flesh. You are one with that man. So you should be fearful in that what you're doing in terms of being, quote, an individual in this relationship, that it's going to interfere with God giving what that unified creature. Because the thing is, a two-headed creature is a freak. So when the two become one flesh, there has to be a head, and then the rest is the body. And that's why I think Jesus said, if your right hand offends you, cut it off. I think He was relating to the woman being the right hand or the strength of the man. And she is, because in adultery, a man's strength is totally taken from him, because that was the most precious thing that he could have ever have associated himself to, the woman. And so when the woman gives of herself to another man, he has lost his strength, because he's thinking, what did this other man have that was worthy of her giving herself to him? See. So these are the things we got to be mindful of. I'm done.
I'm going to
I finally earned one. I got to throw the line in there so I can referee this thing. But I know we only have a few minutes left on the air, and we got some people actually standing by with calls. So, want to go to the phone lines? I'm going to let you say what you got to say. After that, I got to go to the phone lines.
I just want to turn all the way up. Hop on them phone lines real quick, because I'm going to have to, but just one thing for us to research. And I'm going to get to Brother Sal. We keep talking about this bond servant. The most I said, look, man, Israel, are you a homeborn slave? There's a difference between a servant and a bond servant, okay? And we're looking, we just have to really understand that in the context of our culture. A servant and a bond servant is two different things. And according to Torah, you couldn't even take your own people to be a bond servant. So I just wanted that to meditate as we expound upon the level of conversation that we're having as it relates to a man and a woman in a relationship. But with that, Brother Sal, go ahead and hop on those phone lines real quick. It's in the late hours, past my bedtime.
It's past all our bedtimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some questions, and after that, I'm going to pretty much get some last words from the special guest. Let's go to 310-800. You're live on air.
I apologize. I had to get back on that call. The last little run was pretty amazing. This is Chile again from St. Petersburg, Florida.
Shalom, Chile.
Shalom, yeah. How do you call it? I understand it's a very touchy subject. I come from a big family as being Spanish. We have a lot of women in our family. However, I understand as the previous brother was saying that we as men we have immense responsibility, right? And at the end of the days, we are going to get judged. I apologize, my daughter, 16-month-old daughter walking around. How you call it? So, if a woman doesn't want to feel like property, which I understand because, like Dallas said, the knee-jerk reaction is to buck up, say something, but in all reality, a woman is not accountable for a man. He's not accountable for his actions. She's not accountable for anything. She's accountable for her children and how she takes care of the responsibilities delegated to her. If a man was to be in the equal aspect, but it's not superior in any way, shape, or form except responsibility. And with that responsibility, he has certain requirements he has to fulfill, which makes him covering. As you were saying before, is that when you name something, you own it. I feel like I'm going around in the circle. I lost my chain of thought. There was a long a long dissertation there, but I enjoyed it. I would text or email that so she can mention it in some other call or whatever. I apologize for the interruption.
Nah, it's okay, brother. It's okay. Appreciate the call. Actually, there's nobody else there about with any pressing number one. People listening via phone or via Skype. Anybody want to say anything about what the brother just said?
I do. Hold on, Maya. I'll give it to you 1 second. 1 second. I'm a little confused why we keep saying he names her. He didn't even name himself. He's extending his name to her. But the name that he got was from his father. And so he's not
from his mother.
Or from his mother. But
it's
it is the surname of the individual. They're not changing anybody's name or naming them. They're using that name as a covering. You are now in the house of such and such.
That's right.
So her name does, like for instance, if her name was Tamar Eshet, you know what I'm saying, Yaakov. She is Tamar, the wife of Yaakov. Her name didn't change. We're thinking in this like, oh, her name is no longer Tamar. Her name is Yaakovina. Her name is not Yaakovina. Her name is Tamar.
Okay, but Sister Emunah.
I'm here.
Jesus spoke, and he's quoting the Old Testament. He said, and for this reason shall a man leave his father and mother's house, and he shall cleave to his wife, and the two shall become what?
One.
One
but
flesh.
You're saying she becomes one.
So she becomes one with her husband, and the husband becomes one with her.
Exactly.
So too, when God made man, he made him in his image. So how is it that man? Because if we look, Jesus said that, or shortly after that, God created man in his image.
And
in
woman.
Go back and read it.
That's what it says. Go back and read it. Male and female making them.
Hold on, Maya.
Right.
Hold on.
And so God created man in his image. Male and female. Wait. No, you got to go back. No, you got to go back and read with discernment. He says, God created man in his image. Male and female created he them. So he's making a distinction to show that God is male in character.
Oh, see, about that now, another segment.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to go look at that one. But I'm telling you that to me,
Brother Jarrell into the another space.
We're gonna have to bring him in because that's completely false. And
but in being two becoming one flesh, the one flesh means that that those two people are now going to be judged as one unit. Just as Adam and Eve were judged as a family unit, so too the man and the woman will be judged. And this is the thing that makes me fearful. When I see my wife do so many despicable things, and I'm sitting there saying, why are you doing this? What is going on? Because God is saying that I'm allowing it to happen as if I am the Father in heaven. My will is being executed on this earth. So if my wife is doing something contrary to my will, then she's not really, she's exercising authority. She's representing me. And if I'm cool with that, then it will stand. But God is basically saying we're going to be judged for what we did in the body and without. That's why we need to really be fearful and careful about the decisions about who we choose to make our wives and husbands.
Yeah, stand by, everyone. Stand by. I have another caller. We'll have a few minutes left in the air. I gotta get this caller real quick. 248-242. You're live in the air. You're 248-242. Can you hear me? 248. Are you there? All right, going once, going twice. 248. All right, we gotta move on. Let's go to 443-815.
Yeah, hey, this is Mercy again. I just wanted to say that it's a very good discussion. I would like to go back to the beginning, and this is for, I think his name was Jarrell. This is for Jarrell because I got to talk to you for a minute, bro. Because
yes, sir.
The thing is, Paul, he's called himself a bondservant, but there's a reason why he called himself a bondservant, and that's because the way he persecuted the church before he converted. And because he mistreated Christ and persecuted the church, that's why he became a handmaid, because he had to repay the debt. If you know anything about slavery, you become a slave because you owe a debt. Now, like the ladies were saying, you only become a slave or a handmaid if you owe a debt. So your wife is not your handmaid unless she owes you something, okay? Now, again, and then a handmaid law is different than the wife's law, because a handmaid, you can send her away, just put her away. But a wife, you have to go through a process. So there's a difference. But anyway, you have to study Torah to understand that. And then Adam and Eve in the beginning. Let's go back to Adam and Eve in the beginning. What your theology is wrong, because a husband's never held accountable for what his wife does. If you look at the story, God asks Adam, "What have you done?" You didn't ask him what his wife did. Okay. But what did Adam start talking about? His wife. But that's not what God asked him. He asked him, "What have you done?" He's not going to hold you accountable for what your wife do, bruh. He's going to hold you accountable for what you do. Okay? Then after he talked to Adam, then he talked to his wife and said, well, what have you done? Then she started talking about the snake. Everybody talking about other people instead of talking about themselves. And see, that's the biggest problem. And I'll just say this. I like what you're doing, bro. You like you say, you're a prototypical husband only because you're comparing yourself to these women to these men that these ladies are describing. That's the only reason. These dudes, these jokers they're describing, they don't work and all this. Yeah, you look real good. But I mean, you know, like my words were ignored when I said earlier, you got to look at a man who he hangs around with. You got to look at who he hangs around with. And like you said, you so eloquently said, your friends, you know, it's hard for us to understand because my friends all got jobs and they work. So it's hard for us to understand this. Because we out, you know, I ain't going to hang around a brother that ain't about nothing. You know, if you ain't trying to do nothing, I'm not hanging around with you. You know, so it's hard for us to understand that. But the ladies can't understand that because, you know, but then again, you know, then that goes to communication barrier. But I just wanted to say that and say this is that, Brian, God going to hold you accountable for what you do. That's it. You ain't got to worry about what your wife do, what she do. God's going to hold her accountable for what she do. Oh, and then, by the way, one more fact. We about to have a female president. So all that stuff about the man, the king, you're a king, yeah, but you got a queen. Your queen is not your handmaid. As you look at the chessboard, the queen is the most powerful piece on the board. But the game ain't over till the king is captured. So I'll say this. The king is the most important piece, but the queen is the most powerful piece. She can move all over the board. And now she's about to move into the White House. And see, this is these brothers not understanding. They need to get their act together, get their work out there. I know you got your work together. I understand that. You got your stuff together. I got that. I'm with you, bro. But only thing I'm understanding with you, bro, you're about to have a female president. And once you understand, bro, you got to start changing the way you think. because a woman just not going to come be subservient to you. Those days are over, okay? You got to start listening to what she's saying because she got a brain. They going to college, they getting degrees, they getting educated. So they got ideas too. And that's all I'm going to say.
Right. But I got two questions in response to that. Is that, you know, well, if the Torah teaches something contrary to the two becoming one flesh, why would in the beginning God, you know, say the two shall become one flesh? You know, what was the point of him making that distinction?
Okay, let me ask you this.
Two people are no longer one separate individual.
Okay, but let me ask you
this. A new organism.
Let me ask you this. Well, who separated them? Who separated them?
God,
who separated them?
He said, but he separated them. But what I'm saying to you is,
if he separated them, why are you trying to put them back together? If God separated them, then it's God that got to put them back together, not you.
Right. But it talks about the two cleaving to one another, and that word cleave is almost like the welding.
I know,
like welding of steel, where the two pieces can be one. In fact, it's a new piece where it's one indistinct from the other. So what I'm saying to you is the whole point. The whole point of that was just showing that God intended for us to be like Jesus prayed in the garden. He says, "I pray that these people that you have given me may be one as we are one." And basically, God and Jesus are one in mind. They're one in personality. They're one. They're in agreement. So this is what God is basically saying that we're supposed to be as a husband and wife. How can two go anywhere unless they agree to go in that direction together? Right?
All right, stand by.
Yeah.
Hold on. We only got like 10 minutes on the air, people. We only have like 10 minutes on the air. I apologize, and this could go on for a while, but we have to get some final statements. I apologize. But definitely a great dialogue here, right here on the Big Talk Radio. But we got to get some final words, and whatever you want to express, express it as quickly as possible. But let's go to Sister Dallas. And she's been quiet for a while. That's Sister Dallas. Any last words?
Yeah, and I'm not going to touch back on any of that because it's a firestorm. I will say, just as a final closing thing, I appreciate being on the call this evening. And my coaching call on tomorrow evening is at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's on a sick heart. If your hope is deferred and it has made your heart sick, come for some medicine. You can get the details on that on my Facebook page, facebook.com/redeemingthetime. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you. And I also added that in the description box. Of course, I'm going to add that later on the YouTube description box. So make sure you go and check it out, people, and show your support. Let's go to Brother Gerald. Turning it up tonight. It's the last words, Brother Guy.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to say that I started posting some videos on YouTube, and I'd say my most favorite, and this is one that if you get on and watch that one, it'll lead you up to watching the other ones because, I guess underneath you can click on the channel where all the other videos are. And basically this one is called Family Conflicts, No Hypocrites Allowed. And basically I give kind of a nice little lay down of just what we are called to do as Christians. And I beat myself up at the end. So if you guys want to see a man kind of beat himself up. I beat up everybody else at the beginning. I beat up the women. I beat up the men. But at the end, I saved the best for last to beat myself up. But it definitely will give you a perspective, and I hope all the other videos will be edifying to those who watch them. Family Conflicts, No Hypocrites Allowed. Check it out, and I'm sure you guys will be blessed because I end all my videos that I want my people to think clearly because ultimately once you did that, God is going to bless you. And this is the goal of all that God has created us. He created us for His glory and to be blessed. I yield.
Now let's go to Mayana. Last words.
All right, Shalom. So part of my last words, I will go ahead and give the listening audience the upcoming 3 segments that they can look forward to. On May 23rd, we will be talking about homosexuality, a Hebrew's perspective. On May 30th, we will deal with the marriage bed undefiled, does anything go? In June, we'll kick off June on June 6th with the topic, Be Fruitful and Multiply. Is birth control lawful? So those are the next three segments that you can look forward to here on Debate Talk for You, the Relationship Challenge. For my closing, I want to very briefly tell you that there was a discussion about there being a knee-jerk response to the idea of possession, and I think that should be clarified because the verse that produced that response is Ecclesiastes 36, the 36th chapter, 24th verse. And what was the reaction was not to the verse, it was to the mutilation of the verse. It goes on to say, he that giveth a wife begetteth a possession. There's a comma there, not a period. It says, a help like unto himself, a pillar of rest. So she's not a possession in a sense. That's what Emunah was trying to bring out, that she's not going into servitude. He begins a possession, and there's a description here, like unto himself, not a possession unto himself, but like unto himself, meaning for the man to understand her as someone that is part of him, not beneath him or in submission to him in the sense of unworthy of him, or in some kind of, helper kind of state, and that she is a pillar of rest. A pillar is not something that you think about. A pillar is something that is holding up the home. It's holding up the building. You don't want to kick down the pillar, because if you kick down the pillar, the whole thing collapses. She's a pillar of rest for him. So this is not someone you want to beat up and treat like a bond servant, which is what Emunah was trying to bring out. So I just wanted to address that briefly in this way, so that this understanding of, there's this natural knee-jerk reaction to wanting to be a possession, absolutely not. It's a very comforting thing. One of the things that we talk about is our daughter stage, and in our daughter stage we learn to be protected and provided for, and to feel precious. Those are the things that is being expressed when a woman comes into your care, which is what Emunah was talking about, this idea of naming. We find all throughout scriptures, women are the one naming the children. These men are getting their names from their mothers. And we look at Leah and we look at Rachel. They're naming the 12 sons. They are the ones who are providing these names, with the exception of Benjamin, because his name gets changed. Having said all of that, I really, really appreciate having been able to talk to the panelists. I thank Jarrell for coming and bringing all of these ideas to us. I really appreciate the listening audience for always coming through and always supporting us. Thank you very much for that. And with that, I yield my question. Good night.
All right, Emunah, last words.
All righty then. It's all turned up. Praise be to the Most High, the Holy One. I want to thank Mayana for bringing out that scripture because, like she said, one of the things that I do and that we do is not just misquote half a scripture before the comma. And this is why I said before I said what I said, what is the context of that? What is the language that it was written in, and what is it really saying? Because it's one thing to use the Torah or the wisdom sayings for whatever it is that we want it to mean, so